Coming up on the next episode of the Celsius Pod.
They take him to the doctors, he gets tested, and the doctor is like, we're sorry to tell you, but he has autism. And the parents are like, no,
Is
no,
there a
no,
medication?
he's never going to be normal.
Is there a
Is
cure?
that curable? Is there a cure? Is there some medication we can put on to cure him?
This has been one of the most controversial Oscar seasons of recent memory. It was all like, we had so many controversies with Amelia Perez, AI Brutalist, just AI use in general, and like how we should disclaim that in our movies.
You know, who actually are you? And he's like, I'm your best friend. And he's like, are you God? And then angelic light starts to glow on
What
your
is
best friend.
happening?
$116. The same age minus 100 that Uri is
we're
dating.
not on
I'm
episode
dating?
116. I feel like we lost count.
That's really rude. It's actually minus.
Aiden can't do math.
I don't know how to do math, guys.
Minus 106? Uri is dating a 10-year-old?
What the f- is... Sorry.
Okay. I have a theory that we
Believe
lost
that,
count
future
back in
me.
like the range of like the episode 80s, and we've just been wrong since then.
So Nicola, why
Yeah.
are you Top Gun right now?
I'm not Top Gun.
You
He's
seem Top
Metal
Gun.
Gear Solid.
I don't know in what way he's Metal Gear Solid, but I suppose
He's wearing sunglasses.
Okay, but so many characters wear sunglasses. That's not like a.
That's why I'm not
Speaking of sunglasses,
What?
There's
what
a pair of sunglasses.
What could you possibly say? Speaking of sunglasses, that leads to a story.
Oh, in Bicycle Thieves, there's a pair of sunglasses that shows up one time.
Oh, okay, so that's what we're going in.
Fuck all of you guys. I don't have sunglasses because I'm in the back.
No, wait.
I have two pairs of sunglasses because technically my
sunglasses, dumbass.
No, they're tinted. These are tinted.
They're progressive.
I have multiple pairs of sunglasses.
I mean, this is the best I could do.
Those are not sunglasses, bro. Those are reading glasses.
Well, they're my gaming glasses.
Oh, okay. Those don't count though.
Guys, look, I'm
you
a nerd.
don't count my gaming glasses?
No,
I'm a
but
nerd.
I am counting my tinted glasses.
I do have those like blue.
Uri looks like a World War II rookie that's about to die after falling out of an airplane.
Did they have glasses in World War II?
Exact same.
I look like Carl, the guy from Up.
Yeah, you do look like you look like.
Holy shit, these are so dirty. What the fuck?
Well, this has been Glasses Review by the Celsius Podcast.
Yeah.
I typically don't wear these glasses, but I did wear them while I trained for my mile run that we're doing against.
I still want to training. I gotta get on.
I want to say after we talked about our mile that we were gonna do once spring break happens, I decided to run a mile. Yeah, Uri, you're filming it. I decided to run a mile to see where my benchmark is and how much I'm going to need to train for this. Because last time I remember, my mile time was like 10 minutes. I ran it and I got 7 minutes, 45 seconds.
Not bad.
No training, right off the gate. I'm doing pretty good, I think.
However, I do not want to see the image of Aiden just like running. That seems like a terrifying image.
Why?
Because he's running at you at max speed and he's terrified of your presence.
Just
I
like
see. That
a
makes
dirty, disgusting, long-haired man with sweat.
So there are a lot of words that I don't think would describe me.
Aiden, you're the only person, though, who I think can pull off a hat.
I don't think Uri's taken a shower in like 4 days. I'm glad we're not doing this in person.
That actually matches his ethnicity.
What does that mean?
What ethnicity is that, Nicola?
All right, let's move on.
I love how we tried to make the intros less bad, and then it's gotten worse.
So we already hit racism and underage women.
We can just leave all of this. It's so...
we're dealing with some good stuff here.
We gotta hit the bingo board.
Is there a bingo board?
Speaking about bingo, Oscars bingo.
let's
No,
talk,
that's later.
Yeah.
let's talk about but Beck, Bicycle Thieves.
Yeah, so
You watched it. I
last
knew it,
time
Beck.
on
Beck,
the podcast. So
I
last time
told
on
you.
the podcast, Uri was like, Beck, have you seen Bicycle Thieves? It's a very famous film school film. And I'm like, no, I've never heard of it. The next morning, less than 9 hours after the podcast, my teacher's like, okay, today we're watching Bicycle Thieves. And I audibly gasp, and the entire class hears me. Because I'm like,
It's
oh
so
my
true.
God, I know this film.
Aiden,
Uri
let's
Ponte-
reenact it. Class, today we're watching Bicycle Thieves.
Quite literally, yeah. And then my
God.
teacher looks at me and is like, oh, do you know Bicycle Thieves? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, what do you know about it? I'm like, I know it's about a guy that steals a bicycle. And she's like, why the fuck did you say that? You
It's
spoiled the
called
movie.
Bicycle Thieves.
But isn't that
You
the
just
name
spoiled
of
the entire movie for the class. Beck, leave.
Isn't that the name of the movie though?
Yeah.
Actually, in America, it's translated to Bicycle Thief, but
Strange.
Okay,
because
so
you're
I did
because it's a twist
accident-
villain.
So I did accidentally spoil the film, but then when I was watching after, everyone was like, oh, I completely forgot you said that. And I was also like, it's called Bicycle Thieves. You're going to assume the guy becomes a bicycle thief.
Well, no, I thought it was just referring to the one.
yeah.
Wait, there's more than one
Okay.
bicycle thief? Why
So
would they do that?
Beck got
Beck,
essentially.
you're literally spoiling it for him, bro.
You're spoiling it. Beck, leave the podcast, please.
I've never
Please.
watched this
Damn
film.
it.
But Beck, did you like the movie?
I thought it was good. As good as a 1940s Italian film can be.
It's
Um,
neorealism, Beck. Neorealism.
yeah, you know what-
realism.
That's
Aiden,
like
have you learned about
colonial-
neorealism in your media histories?
No, because I take a bunch of random fucking media
It
histories, like
basically
pop
means
culture
everyone
classes.
is sad and depressed at the end of the movie, and it just ends.
So like regular
everything's-
Italy.
So like
Yeah,
every movie.
everything's sad and depressing. Like this guy just gets fucking beat
movie
up.
that
His son hates him. He slaps his son in this movie. He
That was very
ruins a
sad.
church service.
So that just
And
sounds
now
like
everyone
every movie
hates
that's
him. And he
not
lost his
American.
bike. And his family's
No.
gonna starve.
He lost his bike.
Yeah.
Who could
Wait,
have seen that
Wait,
coming?
did somebody steal his bike?
But
Yeah.
Italian
Bicycle
neorealism
thief?
neorealism essentially takes the period after post-war Italy. Essentially, it's marked by like very little editing, not a lot of lighting, a lot of non-professional actors used in the movie because they use like for Bicycle Thieves like in like a lot of these eras like just straight off the street they'll maybe have like one professional actor. And
Straight
it's
off
pretty
the
cool
street.
in that regard. Like it's pretty like kind of inventive. And so a bunch of these movies in this period, like there's Umberto D, which is another kind of film school movie, but there's also Bicycle Thieves, which is the more classic one. So yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. It's definitely one of the better ones I've had to watch for class. Like I remembered, I'm like, wow, there are actually good scenes in this.
There's actually
What?
wait,
Like-
film movies are actually good sometimes.
And
Who couldn't
okay,
see- We all know
Hmm.
Beck hates old movies.
I also
do
hate
hate
old
old-
movies.
Depends on the movie. though.
so that's why I hate being in a media history class because it's all old movies.
Then
Yeah,
why
you'd
not?
rather write Lightfall or Lightwell or like bullshit or something.
Hey, I'll tell
Wow.
you, it's going quite well after
He's
having read it.
Red Lightfall, and he's calling it peak cinema.
I have
He-
not
he's-
said it's peak cinema.
He's
I said it
calling
was
it the
good.
next Owl House.
I didn't
I
say
That's not a
that.
don't
good
think anybody
compliment.
would call- I don't think that's a good thing. Yeah, Beck.
I mean, it's not a bad compliment.
I wouldn't want to be Owl House.
That's like saying the
Hmm.
next Jeffrey Epstein. Like, come on. Here.
Hang
Okay,
on,
I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
This is-
second
this is-
pedophile reference in
This
the
is the
podcast.
second. This is the second one.
I have to do
okay.
it back to
If
you
I had
guys.
a nickel for every time I made a pedophile reference on the Celsius podcast, I'd have a lot of nickels.
Yeah.
It's not. It's more than two.
It is more than two, isn't it?
Well, Beck, do you have any other singles you'd like to talk about?
I do. So, do any of you guys know what Gundam is?
Yeah.
Yes. Here, I have
No.
one.
Okay.
I have one. I have one right here. He's missing an arm and a lot of other pieces, but this is one of
That
them.
Gundam does actually show up in the movie.
Yeah, because this is like the main one.
I don't know what
Is it just
connection it has, but they
Transformers?
It is not
no,
Transformers.
it's space anime mechs with swords.
Yeah.
Okay, so this came out 2025. I've been doing 2025 movies. What this basically is
What's the
is
movie?
the first 3
the Gu-
episodes of the new Gundam show just released together and put in theaters. Now, I went into this knowing that, and still knowing that, I was so confused in the first 30 minutes. Because here's they mention that people have gone to space. There are now multiple sustainable space stations. One of the space stations wants to fight the Earth. The Earth, they
course.
clash. And then the
course.
moon base wants the asteroid military station wants to crash into the moon base on Lunar 2. And they steal a Gundam and they paint the Gundam red and they have neuropsych mech tech. It's neuropsych and then turns out the main guy betrays the other guys. I'm like, I'm gonna kill all of them and then betray all of them and then win. Blah blah. All this stuff happens, and then guess what? We do a 30-year time jump, and none of that matters.
30-year time jump.
Yeah, and then
So
now
Like a Buck Rogers movie.
this was not a good 30-year time jump. Because now we just follow the way more interesting plot of the movie, which is about the high schooler who fights in the underground mech ring and has like the most high-tech Gundam that exists. And I'm like, that's an interesting ass plot line. I want to watch that. I don't want to watch this fucking random ass space war that I know nothing about either side. But I think it was really good. I gave it kind of a low score just because I wanted to walk out in the first 30 minutes. I had no idea what was going on. Granted, I've never seen Gundam, so maybe like this stuff
This
makes
guy's a
sense.
fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to watch the show when it starts to release week by week because I was interested at the end. And
well,
that I believe is my singles.
I have a single if you want me to cover that real quick.
Yes. Oh, I rewatched Parasite, but like good movie.
Yeah.
Good movie.
No,
So-
I was so mad because I was like sitting with my girlfriend like, wow, I can't believe we're all rewatching Parasite together. And they all looked at me so weird, like, none of us have seen Parasite. And I'm like, you haven't seen Parasite?
And Beck was all like, okay, so there's this family. It just explodes and they're like, Beck, leave. It
This
becomes
is not
bicycle
becoming
thieves
the next
again.
joke, Uri.
No, not Bicycle Thieves again.
No.
We're not bringing up Bicycle Thieves anymore, okay, guys? We don't need more Bicycle Thieves in our lives.
Bro,
Guys,
wait,
when are we
wait
gonna make
until
the
you
re-
have to watch it.
Oh!
When are we going to make the Beck Aiden reboot of Bicycle Thieves where Aiden is the bicycle and Aiden and Beck is the guy?
Okay.
Aiden
so
Thieves.
Another thing on Bicycle Thieves was like there was this really funny scene where like the kid is like, guys, I can't be the Bicycle Thieves. Look, I'm having a stroke. Since I'm having a stroke, I'm obviously not the bicycle thief.
Obviously, bro. How do you
Yeah,
have a
now it's
Bicycle
in it.
Thieves?
Now
And
it's
then
in
everyone fucking hates on the guy being like, wow, you're bullying this kid who's having a stroke? Fuck you.
And the guy looks exactly like Luigi Mangione.
Maybe that's part of it.
I don't think Luigi... he did steal a bike, right?
no.
When he was
don't-
getting away,
I'm not
Luigi
so sure
Mangione
about
stole a
Beck is
bike.
making
I
up lore
I
about
don't know about that, Beck. I'm
I think,
not gonna
I
lie.
think you're making shit up, Beck.
No, I could have sworn he stole a bike.
We all
I
know
don't
Beck
think he
was
stole
the
a
real
bike.
shooter.
They haven't
Yeah.
caught me yet.
So, Aiden, what's your single other than you are single?
Harley Quinn.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how is Harley Quinn?
Yeah, so it's still going great. So Frank died in the last episode, if we remember. And so he has a funeral, but when they do his grave, they throw his cum rag in the grave, and then out sprouts a little baby one. Her name is Frankette. She's a little baby plant. So
They're
really
just doing Baby Groot
So-
now.
they're just doing well. Yeah, they always that's their that they think that having children in their show makes it funnier. They looked at Bob's Burgers and said, "Hey, the children in this show are pretty funny. What if we made our own children?" And they're not funny though, the ones that they have now.
No.
But anyway, then they go. Harley and Ivy go home, and they're like, "We gotta kill Brainiac. Brainiac killed Frank because Lena said so." And so then Lena takes them to her teleporter that goes to Brainiac's ship, and Brainiac he's going insane, and he walks in. He's like, "Oh, hello." He looks at the camera again. He's like, "Guys, I'm going insane. Frank is dead. I'm going insane. My monkey is dead, but you guys knew that because I'm going insane." And then Harley's like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" And he's like, Harley Quinn. And then Harley and Ivy shrink him, and then he's shrunk. But before he gets shrunk, he starts destroying Metropolis because he's given up. He's just gonna destroy it all. So they shrink him, but then Ivy notices, oh shit, we left Frank out with Bane, and Bane is at the Dutch immersion school right now. And the Dutch immersion school is about to get blown up. So that means Frankette's gonna die. I gotta go save her. So Ivy goes back. But then Harley is like, I don't know how to stop the machine that's gonna kill everyone. So she asks Lena, who also shows up. She's like, Lena, will you help me do this thing? And Lena's like, okay, for a price. And so then she shuts it off after the big battle. And we still don't know what that price is. But at the end of the episode, Harley's like, sorry, Ivy, I needed Lena's help to help you because actually Brainiac didn't kill Frank. It was Lena because no one was paying attention. So actually Lena killed Frank. It was her the whole time. But then Ivy gets mad at Harley. She's like, Harley, it's all your fault that Lena got away because you saved me. You know how every season they have to do a thing where Harley and Ivy break up because Ivy gets mad at Harley for something?
Yeah.
That's totally reasonable to have done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a classic trope at this point.
So we're at that point in the season, but then Lena steals Frankette. Oh, and then that's the end
Wild
of that.
kidnapping.
Yeah,
And
so
you're really on your seat.
And then she plugs herself into the Brainiac machinery. So she's basically Brainiac now.
And so she's gonna go
Does,
crazy.
does it make her any smarter, or does it just like give her the abilities?
She has Brainiac abilities now. She can like levitate shit and whatnot.
And so you're on the edge of your seat. Can't wait for next episode.
I'm fully in the seat, actually. Like, I'm just watching it to watch it at this point.
He's on the seat and watching something else on the second monitor.
Like, I think there's no more really saying it because we've said so much about like the decline of the show. Like, it's just like you really. It's like I think one of the worst experiences to kind of have in sort of the film landscape is, or like TV and film, is just seeing a show fall in quality so fast, and you kind of you're watching it, as Ian said, to just watch it. And like there's no real purpose other than you have some sort of I guess sunk cost fallacy. I'm already in this for like 4 seasons, and so I have to see this through.
But it's also like I know it can be good.
Yeah,
there have been moments of good in the season, like the first 2 episodes, a couple of like scenes, and some other episodes. But like, I don't know. Like, remember how they revived Nightwing? We haven't done anything with that since then. It's been like 3 episodes and nothing's happened with that.
Yeah, it kind of just, I think, represents sort of like, I think something, syndrome that can happen with like writers. They can become very sort of complacent and like sort of stagnate when they continue to write a show like 5 seasons in. They're like, what can we just like, something for a show that isn't like as well crafted as like a Breaking Bad or like even like other shows like Invincible or like Animationscape. Like for shows that aren't crafted as much, when you just kind of throw things at the wall, you kind of just don't know what sticks. So then it kind of ends up with this place like some of it can be good, but some of it is mostly not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you plan it out, you're able to like build on like the plot points that you like feel like are important. When it's like if you don't know and you're going like season by season, you're like, hey, this is an idea, let's do it for 1 episode. When like if like you plan it out more, you'd be like, oh, this could be like a whole like arc thing that would be interesting. You kind of just burned it.
But it's something that even like I think this is sort of a theory I think I've talked about a bit before on this show. The fact that I don't think a show should be like completely built from season 1 to season 5. I think they should go in at least fresh each season in like a writer's room and build out the whole season. With something like Harley Quinn, it feels like they're kind of just doing it episode by episode. Just kind of, we did this into first episode. Let's reintroduce something randomly. Oh, maybe that should probably come back. It's fine. We'll fix it. We'll fix it later. Nightwing. Shit, we should probably bring that back. Maybe in 2 episodes. And then it feels like they don't even have a cohesion within one single season.
Yeah.
And so it's a really sad thing to see when a show sort of becomes like that. Something like Game of Thrones would probably be the closest comp I have to that. Like, it just feels like they're kind of just throwing things at the wall. Just like, you know what? Let's just end 8 seasons of television, like, of build up for a battle in 1 episode.
Right.
And so it just feels like kind of random stuff. And so, but Aiden's still a trooper. Like, being a firefighter or watching the 5th season of Harley Quinn? Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything else, Aiden?
That's my only solo.
Nicola? Any
I
solos?
don't have any solos.
And
What about you, Ari?
Let's see if I have solos. I do have to check my letter.
Nicola, not even
Yeah.
Dexter.
Not even
Nope,
Dexter.
we're waiting up for Dexter for when I finish it completely.
Or at least when he starts Original Sin and
Yeah.
New Beginnings.
Yeah.
I watch for
Wait,
the
does he
first
like
time.
come back? Is that why it's called Resurrections?
He never dies.
Yeah, back.
Wait.
He's
doesn't
the
he-
Bay Harbor
like,
Butcher, bro.
Didn't
he
you say
never
he
dies
died
back.
in like the final episode?
No, he makes
No.
out.
Oh.
No, he fakes his death.
Yeah. So I
Stupid.
watched a few things.
Dexter
Neither
Patrick died, I
one.
think that's stupid.
I'm just gonna call this sort of my last few days thing because neither one really is warranting enough of like a full breakdown. I'm not Niza-toing Beck like this.
Why is that
Um,
becoming a verb?
Notice how when I
It
do a
used to
full
be
breakdown,
siloing, and now it's turned into Nizatuing.
notice how when
Yeah.
I do a full breakdown, I'm never allowed to speak again. But then when Beck does it, we just make fun of him and he's never allowed to do it again.
No, you're not allowed to specifically talk about Silo in that way. Or
Or Dexter. You've burned all those. All
yeah,
those
you've
shows.
done it too many times. Where Beck, I don't know. Beck is something
I do
else.
it for like one movie. I do it for like Inside Out 2.
Which
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
So there's
we all watched Inside Out too, though.
But then
So-
I gave the scene by scene breakdown.
Okay.
So, there's a few movies I watched. I watched Beck. Since you like the Nora, right? I would suggest
did.
watching Sean Baker's other works, The Florida Project. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
would
I've
really
heard people talking about it a lot because of.
I
all the
honestly,
hype and
if he won an
noise.
Oscar, this was the movie I would prefer him to win an Oscar for, since it's so amazing. It's such a great movie. So it keeps that sort of auteur realism style, and so essentially it follows like it's sort of a like Florida budget motel where like a woman is raising like her child Mooney, but we see the world sort of like through Mooney's eyes, and obviously like it's about like sort of like the poor people and sort of like this sort of systemic kind of like sort of system of like, you know, how like we kind of like they're very kind of like they have very bad lives and they just have to make budget, like paycheck to paycheck sort of things, and like they're like not living that well. But essentially, since we see it through a child's eyes, the world seems so much more magical than it really is. Because like when you're a child, you don't realize all that's going on to the financial hardships of life. Because her mom even becomes a prostitute at one point, but she's not. Since we see it through her child's
Just
eye.
like in Anora.
Yeah, what's this guy's deal with prostitution in his movie?
Well, he
did
just wants to
shout out
highlight
sex
sex work.
workers
It
in
is
his
it is a
speech.
prevalent sort of part of the country, and there's no need to like deny that. It's like a very integral sort of essence of the country we live in, and so I
That's
think he's just
true, I
trying to
guess.
highlight that. Essentially, where we see it through her eyes, it's such a colorful film because we do see it through her eyes. Essentially, the movie doesn't really have like a plot, and that's sort of kind of like something I'm relating back to Italian neorealism. It's very much his movies feel sort of like that era where it's like there's no real plot. It's just a bunch of sort of like each scene is its own story, and eventually it does culminate into like a bigger sort of thing. I'm not going to spoil it too much because I do think that you should watch it. It's a fantastic film. But essentially, it's such a beautiful, moving film about sort of like connections and like we see different scenes of like sort of the day to day life and how like eventually it's like her mom is just like she's like losing, she lost like her friend and like she's losing like her means to pay for like her living, and like it's such a fantastic film because like we also have like speaking of sort of that thing of only one professional actor, the guy they get to be like the budget motel manager character in the movie is Willem Dafoe.
Oh wow.
And so he plays this sort of fantastic sort of character where like, you know, he's very much bothered by Mooney and like her friends like sort of antics around the motel, but he also deeply cares for them because there's this scene where there's like this creepy guy like walking up to some of the children and like so he comes up and kind of like stops him and like kicks him out, and it's a really like cool scene. Like it's such a fantastic scene, like because he like they cause him so much strain, but then he also cares deeply for the children because like he kind of feels like sort of a guardian of them as sort of the manager of the motel. And so we see sort of like for the different financial hardships of living in a place like that's so cool, like you know, has become such a touristy place because it's like on the outskirts of Disney World. And so we see how like sort of like it's kind of sort of the Florida place in the area. Florida has kind of just become sort of this touristy sort of idealized place. Like you got this so magical world of like Disney World, but then like outside of it, it can be some of the harshest environments ever. And I don't know, I love the thematic sort of messaging of this movie. It's such a great movie. I would highly recommend it. Yeah.
It sounds like something I'd be interested in.
I watched this Iranian film called Close Up, and what's cool about this movie was that it's sort of a docu-fiction where there is this like in the 1980s or something, there is like this guy who like pretended to be like a famous Iranian director to his family so he could just like I don't know, like kind of con them. But then but his reasoning for why he conned them, he said, I'm a cinephile, you know?
I just like making movies.
And like he said, I just want to like make a movie. But then essentially he was found out, put to like trial. But then he was like found not guilty. And so what this movie is, it kind of combines documentary and fiction where they get the same people from the real thing to reenact the movie. And so they have those scenes, like even the family and like the director and like the same guy who was like charged. But then they do like they have like flashback scenes, but then they have footage from the actual trial itself.
Okay, what was he tried for? Because I think lying
Like
about being a famous
like fraud.
director.
And so
lying about being a famous director is called impersonation. Identity theft.
But essentially, he was like, because his whole thing was like he didn't really want to hurt the family. He just wanted to like be a sort of like, you know, embrace sort of like the idea because he loves films and he's a cinephile that he says like that.
He just loves films so much, you know.
I'm Martin Scorsese, you know. I just love film. Honestly, no, I'd probably be able to impersonate Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. But and so we get real footage from his actual trial, which is pretty cool. And sort of combines the documentary and the fiction aspects. And like the family actually like they forgive him at the end of the movie. And they're like, and then he comes back to visit them with the real director, and he's like, I hope you can do better this time. And then they hug him and he cries a bit. And so it's like really funny and really good. And so it's sort of like really well thought out. I watched this probably the most like of the last 20 years, the most famous Brazilian film that if you think of a Brazilian film, this is probably your top of your list. City of God.
I thought of I'm Still Here.
That came out like last year. I'm saying this came out in like 2002.
Okay, but like
I just don't really think of Brazilian films that often. Or like
I
Well,
don't.
Nicola,
I don't
get
either.
all three of you, get your American centric film space and watch some foreign fucking
Hey,
films.
I watched.
No.
I do. I watch a lot of. I watch Gundam, Murray.
Like, not anime. Watch
Watches
something other than
Gundam,
fucking
bro.
anime.
I watched The Signal TV show.
No, it's just a really cool idea. There's like
Murray,
this
do you want me
sort
to
of
talk more about Niza 2 and how good it was? Because I got you.
Beck, watch something that isn't animated and like
Wait, but
no,
what
it's
about
like this
Cabinet
really
of
cool
Caligari?
like there's sort of like a slum in like Rio de Janeiro called the City of God. It's like it's a big criminal territory and it's sort of like this non-linear sort of I'd really recommend it. It's such a fantastic ride. This movie, it's so much energy and like it's such an actiony movie, but like it's also sort of like non-linear because like they'll go about like the story of like this guy and like there's this big criminal called Lil Zay and they'll go back in time to how he sort of became it. And there's like so many like crossing intersecting characters, but it follows this like main guy who's like sort of the center between all the stories and how he became a photographer. It's based off like a real life story. And so it's like really cool themes about the cycles of violence and how that sort of continues over generations. It like takes place from like the 60s to the 70s. That's really cool. It's such a like a great movie and like so like I'd really recommend this movie because like it's so like energetic and like it really catches you once you start like maybe like the first 10 minutes are kind of like you don't really know what's going on, but then it fucking catches you. It's such an amazing film. I watched for the first time Borat.
You've
I've
never
seen
watched
Borat 2,
before?
but not Borat 1.
I have seen the
Really?
first half of Borat 1.
It's pretty good actually, like because like I know it's such a big thing in the pop culture Borat. Like anytime someone says my wife, it just instantly becomes that.
Except he
instantly
except he doesn't fucking say my wife like that.
Yeah.
That's not
My
something he
wife.
says.
Yeah. And so it's like a really cool thing because like it's such a cool social experiment because like you're pretending to be this guy, but then like all the people don't know except for maybe like one or two people don't know that you are just pretending, like they think you're a real guy. And so at least you were this thing where it's like he says like, you know, about how like you say you like in the accent like, you know, in my country we hang gays, and like he's talking to like a cowboy guy is like, yeah, we're trying to do that over here in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can just catch people saying these really unsanitary stuff and like just kind of showing the rawest self in a way because like they
Yeah.
don't know it's like sort of fake. There's this like Aiden, you're familiar with sort of like the 2010s, mid 2000s to 2010 sort of like comedy era with Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jay
Sure.
Baruchel, you know?
What? Yeah. Why?
Because there's this movie I watched called She's Out of My League.
Mhm.
It's sort of in that era. It's fine, but I wanted to watch it because I remember watching it a long time ago, and like essentially, the messaging of this movie is pretty cool, I guess, or pretty like it's a good message. Like, there's this guy who's broken up with his girlfriend, and then there's like a hot girl. But he's like, I can't date a hot girl. I'm out of her league, and the movie's called She's Out of My League. But then the messaging is like, oh, cool. You
I
shouldn't
can't
think
relate.
like that because guess what? You know what? You are a 10. Everyone's a
Aw.
10. And then like
Aw.
it doesn't matter what leagues, you can just be in love. And like that's pretty good messaging for like pretty like a heartwarming like sort of 2010s comedy. But yeah. And so those are all my my singles. I'll just call this
Nice.
section Uri's singles.
Cool. Oh, just
let's
call it
talk-
Uri single. I think that should also get a point across.
Yeah, just call it.
I knew you were
Uri
gonna
Single.
fucking say that joke because you like to reuse my jokes.
I didn't reuse your joke. I actually made that up myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Let's
right.
talk about the
so-
fucking Oscars.
Oh, is it the
I think we
fucking
should
Oscars
first
then?
start about the shorts thing because that leads directly into the Oscars.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we did me and Nicola and Beck separately watched the not Oscar nominated animated short films for 2024.
Yeah.
Our respective theaters, had showings where they showed all 5 of them back to back.
Yeah.
And so we watched them all back to back. Let's start off with the first one. Magic Candles.
Candles.
Magic
Not
candles.
candles.
Magic candle.
That was I did think it said magic candles.
Magic
And then he started
marbles.
eating them. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are the candles
Why
round?
did you think they looked like candles at all to begin
Yeah,
with?
so actually, but we got a piece of paper that had a synopsis of all of them on it
Yeah,
Oh,
Where did you get
I didn't
this?
get that.
from my
At the
movie
theater.
theater.
from the theater.
So
course.
we actually knew what all of them were about going in, kind of.
I did not.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
So Magic Candies is about a little boy who finds candies which he thought were marbles, but they're actually candies that lets him communicate with things that makes him understand them better. So the first candy he has is the couch, and the couch is like, "Oh, there's a remote stuck on my side, and also tell your dad to stop farting on me." And then the second candy is the dog, and the dog is like, "I'm old, please stop taking me for like walks 24/7." And then the third one is I think it was the dad.
No, it was the grandma.
Oh, the third one is the chewing gum, which lets him talk to his grandma in heaven. The
It
fourth
would be
one,
really funny if it flew down.
that's what
I'm
I
listening.
said. I turned to Aiden in the theater and I said, "Wait, it's going the wrong way." But then the fourth one was the one that connected to his dad's heart, so he heard that his dad actually loves him. And then the fifth one was the falling leaves because it's fall, and then the sixth one was nothing because it was his own marble, and it was him learning to communicate with another kid and became friends with another kid.
No.
And then they played. Then they had fun together
And
because
then
he
they
was
played
lonely.
Fun.
But
Yeah.
what game is this guy real? What games is this
All the
guy?
marbles, of
Block.
course.
Marble, all the marbles,
Yeah.
All the marbles.
all the marbles back.
Okay.
on.
The next film was that In the Shadows of the Cypress next?
Nope, next is In the Shadow of the Cypress. Yeah.
You mean
In
the
the Shadows of the
Oscar winner?
Cypress. So there's
one
this
was-
guy.
Oscar winning In Shadow of the Cypress.
This is the one that won. So there's this guy, and when he gets mad, he turns into an elf from D&D, and it's like,
hulks out. He's
not
like,
right.
"I'm hulking out."
So it's
Yeah.
not when he gets mad, Beck. It's when
It's
his
when he has
It's when his PTSD gets
Gets
triggered.
flared up. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Basically,
feel like you might have watched the wrong movie, but I think the movie was too complex for Beck Lyons, so it went. It
Because
all
there
went
were-
over
well,
the
you know,
heads.
there was a whale. I got that. So
so what happened was this dad, he has anger problems from his PTSD. So his daughter leaves. She storms out. But there's a
Because
whale beached
but
up.
the dad has anger problems because the bitch daughter brought him red instead of blue.
So he's freaking out. But there's a whale on the beach. So they try to get the whale off the beach and back in the water. But the dad gives up and goes to his wrecked boat that he did the war
I'm
on.
gonna go fix my boat because I'm clearly detrimental to my daughter and I need to fix my own stuff first.
And so while the daughter is struggling with this whale, he's
That's
struggling
also
with
getting- For some reason,
PTSD.
the birds hate the whale because the birds all come and start eating the whale.
And then she scares him away. There's a big whale, and a lot happens
It's
to
a
this
very
whale.
big whale, and the whale is stupid.
But the daughter, she's like, wow, this is hard. But the dad comes back, ready to kill the whale with a
With a
shotgun.
gun. He shoots the birds off, and then he's ready to shoot this whale in the head. But
Until the
the daughter
daughter-
tackles him.
The daughter pushes him over, and he's like, no, I'm a terrible person. I'm going to go kill myself.
So then
So
he
he-
goes to the boat. He goes all the way back to his own boat, and he keeps repairing it, but actually he's not. He just tied the rope to the whale, sunk his own boat while he's inside it so it would drag the whale off the shore, and he went to go cut the whale free, but then he fucking failed because the whale hit him. Because the whale's stupid as hell. Until eventually he fully roped it off and then he died.
Ambiguous death. He
Ambiguous.
might not be dead.
Ambiguous. He might be just knocked out.
Ambiguous.
But this is
But it
this
was
is the
ambiguous.
this is the one that me and Nicola left the theater and we're like, yeah,
Being
that
like,
was
"Yeah,
our
that's the best
favorite.
one." That was the
Really?
best
So
Yeah.
you're glad I won the Oscar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were because that's the one we were like, yeah.
Was it
Like,
also the most
that's
one
fair.
technically best made out of all of the shorts?
I think
Like,
it was just the
technically.
best one.
I
I think
think
they all
this
have a
one
lot of
this one
effort
has
in
the
it.
best story, I think.
Okay.
But there are others that I think maybe have better animation.
maybe.
I don't know.
yeah.
Is the
Yuck
I
French
did
Oh,
not
or-
like
or-
this film as much as
Uri would
Yeah.
like this. Uri would really
Yeah.
like this film because Uri,
Because
guess what
this
this
one-
movie's about?
It's a French film, so guess what it's about?
A woman walking randomly in the Paris.
Wrong.
No.
Little kid kissing.
Little kids kissing. Beck.
I liked this film, okay?
Yeah,
All
Beck
right,
would like
bro.
this one. Beck would like this one.
All right, bro.
This is popping up, guys. We gotta stop doing this.
Anyways,
This is the
thi-
4th time.
anyway, these French kids keep looking at people kissing, and they're like, Bjork! Until the main character, he's like,
Wait, but I'm
kissing,
also in love.
but I also want to kiss. And then there's the other girls, and they're gonna kiss, but then they get made fun of, and his friends are like, "You're a pervert for wanting to kiss someone, pervert, little crybaby pervert
back.
boy,
And that's
crybaby
why he's
pervert
like,
boy."
I'm never going to love anybody ever again. And his lips turn black.
But
instead of-
then,
because usually when
but
people kiss, their lips turn purple and glittery.
yeah, they turn bright pink. It's a metaphor. But then
Bright
at
pink
night,
and glittery. Imagine if in real
At
life that you
night,
could just see
everyone
somebody
starts
and your lips
making
turn blue.
out.
everyone at night starts making out, and then he realizes,
Everyone
maybe
at night
kissing is
dreams
okay.
about making out. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe kissing is okay,
And then he and the girl kiss, and that's it.
and that's it.
Next one is Wonder to Wonder. Beck liked this one, so he can talk about it.
I
Yeah.
did like this one. So this one, stop me if you've heard this before. It's a kids show hosted by a anthropomorphic animal, and the main host guy, ends up dead at the end of the movie. So
It sounds like one you've
Aiden,
seen from it.
this is feeling a lot like Smile the Dog. Do you want
I
to
think this
address
is
the
one you've
plagiarism
seen.
allegations?
I'm telling my kids this
So-
is the scene.
It's not plagiarism because they are completely different.
No,
Yeah, they're
no.
really not similar at
Because-
all. Beck. I don't
Really.
know what you're seeing. It's
I mean, you were telling me about the sequel where you wanted the dog to be like eating flies and eating the corpse of the other guy and setting fire to everything.
So never once did that
Yeah,
ever cross.
that just did not.
Oh, so I didn't want to leak your Celsius Oscars 2 or 3. So sorry, Aiden. I know that's what you're making for Oscars 3.
Yeah.
So basically, there's this kids show host with 3 like bears and an old guy, but the
But
old
the
guy
bears are actually
dies,
little
and it
people.
turns out the bears are miniature people. They go fucking insane because they're trapped in this shack and have no food, and the one human guy is dead. So they start freaking out and they burn down the place and are just like, and then they kill a bird and they
Yeah.
eat the blood of the bird.
And I think it's a reference to the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So overall, good
next movie
film.
is called Beautiful Men.
That one,
Okay.
it was weird. Wonder to Wonder, it was weird as shit.
It was
Yeah.
weird as shit. But also, very weirdly, why were there 2 films that had stop motion animated dicks on screen? I feel like
So,
that should not
They
have
were
been-
made by the same
They
company.
were made
Beck.
by the same people.
Wait, what?
Yes, you didn't see that?
Beautiful
Oh,
Men and
I
Wonder
did
to
not
Wonder
see
was
that.
made by
Is
the
that like
same
a signature
company.
trademark?
I guess they love
Yeah.
dicks.
Well, Beautiful Men is a also stop motion with also penises about 3 guys who go to Turkey to get a hair transplant, but they only booked 1 hair transplant, so they got to figure out who gets the hair transplant. But it also was in 2021, so there's a scene where the guy's watching Formula One, and then there's also other stuff where like one of the guys is really horny and wants to jerk off with his girlfriend, but then he thinks he has ball cancer, so he gets one of the other guys to check his balls.
And this is animation.
And this is
Yeah.
animation. And
I
this is
Listen,
one of
literally
the-
knew as I was watching
animation-
this movie, Nick was
animation
gonna make
isn't
an
just for
F1
kids.
reference.
It's for
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
and
Beck, actually, he figured out which race it was.
I knew exactly what race it
You
was.
oh my fucking god. This fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's Nicola the Sleuther. You know him by now.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
he didn't even need to sleuth. He figured it out in the theater.
Yeah. So that was all 5 films. But you know what happened after watching those 5 films? Well, actually, while watching those 5 films.
Yeah.
Well, me and Aiden was like, we got to watch that autism movie eventually. And there was a little bit of a miscommunication, but it ended up being that we were going to do a double feature that night. And we were going to go straight from the animated films to the other movie theater to watch the Unbreakable
Unbreakable
Boy.
Yeah, we had to drive
So-
to a different movie theater for us this
So
to
we
happen.
drove to another
you
movie theater
drove to a different theater to watch.
to watch the Unbreakable Boy, and
Mhm.
It must have been an
We're gonna have
amazing
to give-
film then.
we are going to have to give a full breakdown. And I'm gonna tell you, Beck, this movie was one thing away from being unironically really good.
So here's,
One thing.
here's
Wait.
how it started. Yeah.
So we're gonna take a little break we'll come back to the Oscars after the Unbreakable Boy. But so I'm fully locked and loaded to hear about the Unbreakable Boy.
Okay.
So
Okay, I just want to start off the context with the Unbreakable Boy. The kid is not the main character of his own movie.
So, okay, furthermore, not only is the titular Unbreakable Boy not the main character, none of the characters besides the dad is an actual character. They are all glorified plot devices.
Yeah.
Each and every one.
that's
They
the
are
best
all
movies.
they're all one note, no personality, flick of the switch, character changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the movie is really religious for some reason.
It's a
really
very
pushing
It's
Christianity.
from that insanely religious studio.
It's a very religious movie for a topic that is super not related to that.
So they're gonna
Yeah.
pray the autism out of him, right?
So actually, they didn't do that. Surprisingly.
So let me explain
Thank
this
God.
movie. Let me explain the
So-
movie.
So it starts. Let's
Can I
start.
can I explain the movie?
Please, yeah.
So it starts in New Year's. What year is it? 2018.
No, the New Year's of 2019.
New Year's of
Before
2019.
Before
2019.
COVID.
New
No,
Year's.
no,
That'll be
no,
relevant
no,
later.
no, don't tell me,
Sorry.
don't tell me vaccines.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
tell me vaccines gave him
It'll become
autism.
relevant later.
No
But
vaccines happen.
basically, it begins in the New Year's of this, where the son, the kid with autism, is like, I'm gonna tell you about the night everything broke. But you have to keep in mind, sometimes when things breaks, it can be good or it can be bad. And then it cuts to the dad being an alcoholic and dropping champagne on the floor, and then like drinking stuff and breaking champagne, and like the stuff that broke is he smashed the champagne on the floor. And then the kid is like, but first you need to know about me because I share everything about myself. So now I'm going to share everything about me. And then he listed out a bunch of stuff that are also Aiden's interests. We found out that he might be
Did Aiden go to the doctor?
Not yet. Not yet.
yeah. So after that, the dad's like, all right, I gotta go home. I gotta drive my kids home. So he gets the two kids because the autistic kid also has a brother, and the brother is normal.
Can't say
So-
normal.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't have
brother
autism.
Doesn't have autism or brittle bones.
Yeah, there's another thing that he is.
Yeah, he's not only autistic, he also has the brittle bone disease.
Oh,
disease. So
this
that's
kid
another
is
thing.
not
But they
getting it.
forget about the brittle bone disease like after
They
the first
forget
30
about
minutes.
halfway through the movie.
It like never comes up again after
He just
the
has
first 30
autism.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, after
because
that, it's just that.
because they realized, wait a minute, this character can't do anything if he has this disease. Why did we write him to have this?
Well, because he's a real person.
Sorry for any viewers with brittle bone disease.
Right.
So anyway, we get so then the dad loads the two kids and he starts drunk driving home and he's like swerving around, and then it cuts back to the past and it's like, and then it goes back to the beginning. So we see how the dad met the mom, and it was all because he was buying green khaki pants. I shit you not.
Yeah. So the main guy, what's the dad's name? The dad's name is Scott. He's like,
We'll just call him
He's at-
Zachary Levi.
okay, Zachary Levi is at the khaki. He's at the pants store with his
At the
best
pants store
friend.
with his best friend. The best friend is very relevant to this movie. He will.
He is in like every scene.
He
He
is
just
in
lives. He lives
every
with.
scene.
He lives with the
We'll
main
see.
characters
We'll
for some
explain
reason.
it. And we'll explain
like
every
Wade
religious movie
Whipple
for this
best friend or like cringe best friend?
Like Wade Whipple best. Like he is the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
anyway, the
they're
dad.
at
So
the
the,
khaki
so-
store, and he's like,
yeah. So
"Hey,
whatever.
baby girl, I want to buy 8 pairs of khakis. Do you work on
No,
commission?"
He's like, how many pairs of pants would I have to buy to go out with you? And she was like, 0. And he was like, you're a really bad negotiator. And she's like, you've never asked a girl out because you should not be negotiating.
Yeah,
and
so
then they
this
go-
is the
and then they
dialogue
go-
we're dealing with.
Yeah. And then they go out for a date.
They go out for
quote unquote.
coffee.
They're like, "Oh, can I take you out for coffee?" And they're like, "Okay." And then instead of going out for coffee, the guy invites her to just like an actual restaurant. So he's in a full suit, and she is not at all. She's completely casual.
And this is when we find out that the dad also definitely has some sort of mental disorder, whether it be OCD or
he is
autism.
constantly tapping his feet around, and he has to have the stuff perfectly lined up. And
So
stuff like
he's
that.
so definitely
he has a bit of
something.
autism.
He has something.
But they
yeah.
also forget about that too.
No, they don't forget about that. He cures it himself at the end of the
He
movie.
does
You'll see.
cure it. I
Not
forgot.
autism.
He cures himself. But we also kind of start to see that he's an alcoholic because he's drinking a lot.
That's
Yeah.
what causes the
What?
autism.
So
Yeah.
then they go on 2 other dates, and then she gets
Yeah.
pregnant.
But you have to keep in mind that
Wow.
after the first date, the guy, what's his name again? Scott?
Scott,
Scott
Zachary
doesn't-
Levi.
Zachary Levi doesn't think she's gonna call back. So of course he's with his best friend in his apartment, drinking as usual while watching stuff.
This guy drinks
Also
a lot.
forgot to mention the wife is a gamer girl. She is
Oh.
constantly playing Gears of War on the Xbox. Constantly in so many scenes. And the best part is a lot of the times she doesn't even have a controller connected to the connected. The
Did you guys
controller-
see the
Did Gears of War sponsor this movie?
Maybe
Wait.
honestly, probably not.
Did you guys see the clip going around that was like the cop show where the cop was like, "Yeah, I beat Sans," which implies the cop was like, "You know, I'm proud I did the genocide run, guys."
Yeah,
I would be.
I did
Yeah.
see that clip. Very
So
funny.
anyway, after the first couple dates, the mom is like, "Oh, I'm pregnant, so I guess we
I
gotta
bet
have a
that's what
kid now."
caused the autism, having sex before marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but she was-
so what happens now
But
is
the mom was like, "Oh, I've actually I have brittle bones, so I'm kind of concerned about giving birth to a kid."
this is
because that might be
multiple
bad."
months after they have moved in together and are in a relationship. Is when
And
she's
don't
like,
forget, the best friend is still living with them in the apartment,
the best friend
he's
is
just their
also
roommate.
living with them.
They're like a throuple.
and he's just
It's
Yeah,
not
basically.
a thought. He's just there because he also
he's just there.
because he
Constantly.
once the kids are in the picture, he doesn't help with them.
No, he's kind of the uncle. Like he wears a Back to the Future shirt, and we know from the beginning that the kid likes Back to the Future.
It
Yeah,
was Aiden.
yeah.
So anyway, they have the kid, and the kid turns out he does have brittle bones because when they pulled the kid
No,
out,
no. So the mom
Oh.
has type 1 brittle bones where she's okay to do most things, but she can't do sports. The
Yeah.
boy, the Unbreakable Boy, Austin, has
That's why it's called the Unbreakable
has
Boy.
has type 2 breakable bones. So
and he
if
is
he
very
literally
breakable.
just trips, he will break all of his bones.
Yeah. And it happens for the first 30 minutes. We're like going through all the breaks he has as he's growing up. And he is breaking shit constantly.
Because
And they
guess
are-
what, guys? The dad is very neglectful and he drinks a lot of alcohol. So,
But
Yeah.
he's the unbreakable boy.
yeah, but the movie's
Yeah.
not about the
And in
unbreakable boy.
fact,
It's about the
they're like-
alcoholic, neglectful dad.
In fact,
That's not as good
parents
of
are
a
like,
title.
you know what?
Aiden.
Maybe we should actually get married. So then they end up getting married, and
You
then they
forgot
buy a new
Part
house.
when he was like, "Hey, you look really ugly and you're taking out the trash, but I think I might love you." And she's like, "What
Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about? Why did you propose like I think I might love you? What the fuck?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then they get
But yeah,
married.
then they get married and they get into a house, and for some reason they choose a house with 2 floors and like really steep stairs when they have a kid who cannot trip ever. So of course the kid breaks his bones constantly on the stairs.
Yeah, that's
In
the
fact,
first thing they
in
show.
fact, there's this one good part where it says there was one time when there's the trifecta where they don't explain how it happened, but somehow the kid ends up in a wheelchair, the mom has a broken arm, and the dad has a broken leg. So who knows how the hell that happened?
By the way, the dad has normal bones, so he,
Yeah, the dad has normal bones, so who
so
knows what happened
whatever
there?
event happened, it had to be just bad enough to where the dad breaks a bone, but not bad enough to where the mom and son just explode.
He was
Yeah,
just
and
doing
you know
a
what's
little bit of drunk driving, guys. It
Also,
wasn't.
But you,
also,
but you know what's even
wait. This is something that I thought about. Because the mom has really brittle bones, how does she give birth? Wouldn't that just break her cervix in half? Like,
No,
like a legitimate question. Like, would her pelvis bone just not break in that situation?
who
I
knows?
don't think the
Anyway,
were considered.
even though they know the risk and they've already been really struggling with their first child, they're like, you know what? Let's have another child because they definitely didn't learn anything from the first child.
And this
So-
child has regular
This
bones.
child has regular bones
regular
and
bones,
no
but you
autism.
can't call a movie The Regular Bones Kid.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
not about that kid. That's one. That's plot. That's another
Yeah.
plot device character.
Yeah, because the kid with autism, we actually then finally start to learn he has autism because you know what? He's counting. And what is he counting? He's counting
Planes.
toy planes.
Uh-oh.
9/11.
He has like 100 toy planes and he can't stop
9/11
counting
must have
them.
been crazy for him.
And the dad is like does not understand at all. He does not understand what autism means. And he's like
What?
like, bro, why are you like he's like, yo, kid, why do you keep counting? Let's fucking go to school, please.
You know,
And the kid
you know
keeps-
he's a good father because he doesn't call his son by his own name ever. Bud, Sport,
Yeah,
little
it's
bro,
only
little
Bud
dude.
Sport, little dude. He's always like, come on, little dude, let's go. And then the kid gets distracted, so he loses count, so he has to restart counting. And the mom is just like, let him finish counting, it'll be faster. And then eventually he goes to school, and we find out that after a couple times that the parents are like, you know, this kid might have autism. So then they take him to the doctors, he gets tested, and the doctor is like, we're sorry to tell you, but he has autism. And the parents are like, no, no,
there a
no,
medication?
he's never going to be normal.
Is there a
Is
cure?
that curable? Is there a cure? Is there some medication we can put on to cure him?
You gotta fix my autism, doc.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they do that. The kid becomes like a mascot, becomes the school mascot, and he's actually
Because
like really liked by people all
he's
around
like
school.
he's the school autistic kid that everyone likes. You know how there's the
yeah.
one that everyone likes and then the one that he's the one
Oh,
that
yeah.
everyone likes. So he becomes the
Yeah.
mascot.
Well, who's the one that everyone hates?
No, they don't
His
show him. The
brother.
movie's
Yeah,
not
they don't
about
show him.
him. Well, the movie's
But
not
his-
about the main boy either.
Yeah. But there is-
does the Unbreakable Boy, does he give some of those like autism tantrums that you sometimes see?
One time
because he gets overstimulated. Because there's a bully in his class. Because everybody likes him except for this one guy, and this one guy is like, this guy's kind of, because they were in the lunch line, and the kid wouldn't stop talking because you know he likes sharing stuff about him. So the bully got annoyed at him because they're sharing a class. He's like, hey, can you tell us about, I forgot exactly what he said, but he gave a movie quote, and because he gave the movie quote, the kid has to the autistic kid has to repeat the entire movie quote in an entire spiel. So the kid jumps up from his seat and gives like a 5-minute speech, which is a movie quote, until eventually he gets escorted out of the class by the teachers to the principal's office.
That
And then
teacher
the
was
te-
not a cinephile.
No, and
Yeah.
and then the teacher's like, "Hey, we should put your kid in special ed." I think.
Yeah. Except the-
What's the Unbreakable Boy's name?
Austin.
Austin.
Yeah, super very close to autism. Just like if you were to choose a name that was as close to what autism, it would be Austin. So that's very funny that they chose that.
Oh, but also the there's like the first day of school, of middle school, the dad's like, okay, be careful, Austin, because you know it's a new school, people might not get along with you. And he's like turns to the normal brother and he's like, hey, can you take care of your brother? And he's like, okay. And then they come back, and Austin had a great day at school, but the brother didn't because the brother is a normal kid, which means he gets bullied.
I love Nicola's use of normal.
Yeah, of course.
So at
I'm
this,
using it the same way that dad does.
at this point in the movie, nothing has happened except for the
Yeah.
fact that the mom hates the dad a little bit more.
And
Every
by
day.
this point, there's never a broken bone again. It's just forgotten about it. By
It
this
is
point.
forgotten about. Well, no, there's one other because the dad was like, "Hey sons, let's go. Let's go on the
There's one other
swings."
time when it comes back where they're like, let's all swing together. So then he's swinging, and then Austin, being an idiot, gets behind the dad, and then the dad just fucking crushes him. And he
Okay, no,
breaks
there's a
every
lot
single
of
shot.
problems with that scene. Let me break it down. So the dad has a genius idea to take his son who will explode if he falls from a height greater than 1 inch off the ground, decides to put him on swings. A very
Because
dangerous
it's gonna make him feel like
playground
he's
thing.
flying because he has a really strong imagination.
So
So he's flying with his dad and brother, and they're all having fun.
no,
And then he's like, push me
the other
even higher.
brother is not on the swing. The dad is on the swing.
Yeah,
And,
of course.
and the other brother is pushing both of them. So in a stroke of genius, the other brother gets off, or the Austin gets off the swing, and the other brother gets on. So now no one's paying attention to the autistic kid with broken bones.
And by as no one, it means only the dad has never been paying attention to the kids ever because he has issues.
Because he's neglectful.
He has autism as well, guys.
And an alcoholic.
Yeah. So then he hits the son, and then now the son's in a full body cast. But they forget about that after a little bit.
And then at this point, the mom is also being like, there's this really big thing that like Austin only gets hurt when he's around you, and also you're drinking a lot, so maybe you should stop that. And the dad is
Maybe
like,
there's a connection here.
and the dad is like, no, why would I stop drinking? So then he goes back to his apartment and he keeps drinking.
I
with his
love
best friend.
drinking.
And then he goes to the bar and he's drinking with his work coworker. And then the coworker leaves, but then his best friend is still there. So he's like, you know what, best friend, let's have shots for the rest of the night. So they keep drinking.
I thought you were going such a
until he
far
stumbles
your way.
home.
Let's have sex.
No.
No.
So he's also forgetting about the part where
Oh, they go to church. That's a big part.
they start going to church as well.
Because
So
the
they
mom
meet
is like, we're a family, so we have to go to church on Sundays. So they go to church, and at one point they try to get Austin to change his clothes in the bathroom, but because he's autistic, he runs out naked throughout the entire church.
Uh-oh.
Luckily, the pastor's like the only not asshole to autistic people in this movie. So he actually comforts the child and like knows how to care for him.
Yeah.
So you tell me the priest is comforting the child.
Yes.
This does not sound very good.
No,
So
it
and
does
this is
not.
a religious movie.
Yeah. So again, the plot, nothing's really happened. So they decide to do something drastic. Oh wait, so 2 things. One, the dad gets fired from his job and they have to move.
For
So
drinking.
they move huh?
Did he
No,
get
he
fired for
says
drinking?
he says he just decided to quit so that he could spend more time. But then the mom is like, oh, but the letter clearly said it has something to do with your drinking.
Yeah. So that's one thing. This is when we find out the movie's been taking place in Oklahoma the whole
Yeah.
They can't take
Maybe
the home out
autistic
of
in
it.
Oklahoma.
2, at this point in the movie, nothing has happened. So they're like, all right, we need the kid to start saying the R slur a bunch and then to slap his mom and choke his brother out. So that
What
way we
is
can
happening?
So also no, because
We need forced conflict,
it's because the son gets sad for no reason sometimes, and because he got made fun of for the movies. He went home and he tore everything off his wall. And then he's like, again, previously he had said he loved mashed potatoes. But this time when his mom came to serve him mashed potatoes, he says, no, I don't like mashed potatoes. And then he throws a heavy bottle at his mom, who has brittle bones. So of course her head
Not
starts
the
bleeding
brittle
instantly.
bones
And
disease.
then he jumps on his and then he jumps on his brother and starts choking him out until eventually he gets separated, and then the son gets sent to the psych ward for like a month.
Yeah.
But also the son finds out. Oh yeah, and after he leaves the psych ward, he's like there's so many peculiar. I want you to meet all the people in here. They're so weird.
No, they're all crazy. All like
They're all
crazy people.
And they're just all like him. And then also he found out there's a father-son camping trip because the boy with brittle bones really wants to go camping with his
He
dad.
wants to do normal things with his normal dad. So this is when the writers decide, you know what? He's not autistic anymore. He's a fucking manipulative little shit.
What?
Because
Yeah.
he
uses his autism to
narrates this
manipulate
movie
people.
and he's like, I've learned this thing where if I manipulate my parents, I can have them do things for me. So he manipulates his parents into agreeing to go for the camping trip.
Yeah.
So does he have
Also, keep in
autism or
mind-
is he just manipulative?
I also have to remind you guys, the
knows?
roommate or the best friend is still the roommate, even though they own their own house.
Yeah, they have a house in the middle of like a
Also,
farm.
there's a big thing that happens because the kid keeps breaking his bones. The hospital bills racked up so much that the mom had to take out $70,000 in loans to be able to pay for it, and the dad lost his job, which meant that they had to
Dad
sell
should
that house.
stop breaking his son's bones.
Which means they had to sell that house and move to another house.
Yeah.
This
Also-
family keeps getting
But
L's.
despite selling that house, they still own a Mustang,
Yeah,
a Ford Mustang.
When they
and
lease
also-
out the Mustang.
And that comes back later because eventually the mom gets so upset with the family that she's like, you know what? I'm gonna kill myself.
What
So she
is
drives,
happening?
so she takes the Mustang and she drives as fast as she can and she lets go of the wheel until eventually she stops and she swerves out of the way.
And she's like, I don't want to kill myself because I can't have my son
Because
living
I
with
got
that.
God in my life.
He has
Because this is
God.
the point where because I forgot that this is the point where they were actually separated because the mom was so fed up with his drinking.
Yeah, they
and
they
he was like,
separated
"You
at some
gotta
point in
leave."
this movie.
Oh, and don't forget, I forgot to mention, the dad has two parents. When the dad got the girl pregnant the first time, he went with his parents, and the mom was throwing shit all over the house and
He has
pissed off.
autism
And
as
the
well.
dad was just like, "She'll calm down eventually. Just know it. Just you'll be fine, son." This time, when after
Nicola
finding
therefore
the parents
showing the
finding-
autism.
but this parents, after finding out that the son basically is an alcoholic and has been neglecting his son the entire time and got kicked out of the house by the wife, is like tells him, the mom tells him, pick up a pot, and then he drops the pot, not a pot, a teacup, and he drops the teacup on the floor, and she's like, "That's you right now. How are you gonna fix it?" And the parents like, and so then he starts going to Alcoholic Anonymous meetings, and he starts going sober.
Nicola,
And
you
he gets-
have skipped over a very important part. So
Which is?
before they divorce, the reason they divorce, listen, here's what happens. So one plot point that we learn is that this movie takes place in 2018, which is like, why are we taking place in 2018? Why did you
Right.
just name drop How to Train Your Dragon 3 is coming out in theaters?
Yeah.
That's a strange thing to name drop. Two,
Really random.
now we're at where the story began, where the dad starts drinking and
Right.
driving with his sons, and he gets in the car crash, but nothing
But he
happens.
gets home. All
He
he
gets-
crashed into was the fence in front of his house.
Yeah, so the car is fine. None of the kids were hurt. So the whole build up to the beginning, nothing happened, and that's why Nicola did not give it a 5 stars because no one died in
I
the car
was-
crash in this movie.
Because I started the movie and I was throughout the movie, I'm like, this will genuinely be one of the best movies if somebody dies.
If the
Like,
kid dies,
Very
after the
Nicola
beginning
thing to
of the
say.
drunk driving, I'm like, I swear to God, if the dad or the kid or the brother dies, and then the suicide scene happened, I'm like, if the mom dies, and then we go back to the scene, I'm like, if something happens, and then nothing happened, and
Nothing
I'm like, okay,
happened.
this movie is just ass.
Yeah, the dad just does Alcoholics Anonymous.
And then he gets his trip.
and so
And,
Aiden,
and the best friend, but after he gets his trip for a while, he's like talking to the people and he's talking about like where his problems began. And after like coming to the epitome, you know how I was talking about how in the beginning how he's pumping his feet all the time because he has
Yeah.
that issue.
he
Just stops
stops.
pumping his feet, and that's the idea.
He
just fixes
cures his
himself.
autism by not
that's like the
drinking.
best.
for
That's the
30
best
days.
message of the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
So
it was
then-
I think his drinking was just causing his autism.
it probably was that.
Yeah.
So then the mom lets him see his kid again. And so he
Yeah.
goes on the father-son camping trip, and it's all
and he
nice.
plays them, and then at one point,
And
he's
also, his
sitting
best friend is with him on the camping trip.
is on
Makes
the camping
sense.
trip.
I think
Yeah.
And
they
this
might
is
be in
when we
love.
finally. This is when, guys, we have to reveal something
We've
to
been
you.
lying to you this whole time.
We've been lying to you. In the
What?
first
In
the
the
first
first 5 minutes of the movie.
no, it's the first like 10 minutes. 10 minutes into the movie. It is the first 5 minutes because it's in the intro scene talking about the breaking stuff. Austin, who's narrating the movie, says, "There's one thing I need to tell you about my dad, and it's his dad's best friend. He's not real."
What?
The entire time we find out
In the first
5
5 minutes of the
minutes
movie,
into the
we
movie.
learn that the dad has an imaginary friend, and he is a reoccurring character that has more
in
problems
every scene.
than the
He was
mom.
the best man at the fucking wedding. I forgot to mention that. And then in the camping trip, he sits down with his best friend and he turns to him and he says, "You know, who actually are you?" And he's like, "I'm your best friend." And he's like, "Are you God?" And then angelic light starts to glow on
What
the
is
best friend.
happening?
And he's like,
entire time.
and he was God the entire time. But then actually they just
We're kidding about that one.
yeah, and then he actually cuts and he's like, "No, I'm joking. No, I actually don't know what I am. I think you're just schizophrenic."
Yeah.
What?
Which also remember the scene where he's drinking by himself in the bar after his coworker leaves. So there's a shot where the coworker turns back and sees him, and he's just talking to an empty chair next to him. But here's the thing: they messed up the continuity.
They Fight
because
Club
in
it?
No, yeah, basically, it's the Fight Club because he's
If-
sitting down. His friend is to the right of him in the shot where we see the friend. Then we go to the coworker's perspective where the friend is gone and he's talking to himself, and he's talking to the left chair. So they couldn't even get the continuity of the best friend correct.
Also, speaking of Fight Club, there's a scene on Halloween where the
Oh yeah,
best
the
friend.
best part is that there's a Halloween part where everyone gets dressed up. The best friend dressed up as Tyler Durden.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's really good.
but
I think it would have been so much better if they revealed that the best friend was just not real at the end
at
of
the
movie.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they reveal it at the beginning. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it, like how furniture and how is he like physically interacting with them in
And
multiple
then by
appearances.
the end, the Austin isn't even narrating anymore. Now it's just the dad narrating.
Yeah, now it's just the dad, and the dad is
Now
like, you
the
know,
dad has fully
Austin-
become the main character
Austin,
of this movie.
Austin taught me a lot of things. I'm Zachary Levi, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, and nothing happens. Basically, there was no story. There was nothing. Nothing happened.
It was,
I don't even know if there was a message in this movie.
I don't know, but it was based on real people.
It
What-
And
said,
it was, yeah,
I
that's
think
the
the
thing.
message
We
is
also-
about
We
alcoholism.
also,
The entire movie was based on a real family.
we also
and it turns
skipped
out
over
the dad,
we
the
also
dad. Yeah, well, let me give you. I'll cover the bully. The dad is actually has the fake friend, the imaginary friend in real life that apparently he still talks to this day.
What?
And
so
we
that's a real
forgot to
person.
mention, remember the bully that was bullying Austin? Well, he also was bullying the brother. And at one point, the brother got a new skateboard and he was taking it to school. And then the bully took it and stole the skateboard from him. And he's like, this is mine now. So then the
bully
kid,
also
the
has
brother jumped
autism.
on him. No, he's just like beaten at home or something like that. I can't remember.
yeah, I don't
He's just sad. So that's why he bullies people.
because
then anyway, because he's
Austin is like,
because the-
brother, you have to forgive him. I sense sadness in his heart.
Like,
Yeah,
Jesus
basically. For
Christ.
some reason,
See,
the
but
Austin just
Kingdom Hearts
sense-
character?
Austin can just sense sadness in him. So he does that. And then
They
because
for-
you have to remember, they both got kicked out of school because the brother beat the shit out of the bully because he stole the skateboard. But then they give it up. The brother gifts the skateboard back to him, and it's revealed in the post-credit scene that the real person, that the bully and the brother in real life have still been friends to this day.
Aw.
By the way, that's the reason the mom gets back together with the dad, is because she's like, my son confronted his bully and they're friends now, so surely I can confront my alcoholic, neglectful husband.
Yeah. And it's like it's not equal at all.
Not
You
equal
gotta
at all.
say an alcoholic husband, Aiden.
And
And well-
the movie sucks ass.
That was an ass movie. Please do not watch it. Just save yourself the trouble. It is not worth watching.
And what are the
I
five things
booked
that
my
Austin
tickets
likes
for
a lot?
tomorrow night, guys.
And
Oh,
that's the
bag.
Unbreakable Boy.
No,
Aiden, what
bag.
were the five things he liked?
There were a lot of things he liked. SpongeBob, chicken nuggets, dinosaurs, Back to the
Cats.
Future. Yeah,
Star
Ranch?
Wars.
yeah. I don't like ranch though.
Are you saying you're like Austin?
Maybe. Also, according to the movie timeline, he was born in 2005, so he might just be
Oh, and there was the big thing about how the movie was supposed to come out in
way
what
earlier.
year? Supposed to come out way earlier, like in 2016 or something like that.
Well, okay, the movie was announced in 2020, but because of like all the factors that like make it 2018, there had to have been something. Yeah, it was supposed to release in 2020
Yeah.
or 2022 is when it was supposed to release. So even then, it was 3 years too late. It was
Yeah,
such a
alright,
bad
well,
movie.
That's the Unbreakable Boy.
And so you
And what I found
like
out
that
is
you
I'm-
watched it.
What we found out
Oh, yeah,
is
we liked
that Aiden
watching it.
Shoemaker, we found out that Aiden Shoemaker is literally the autistic son and I'm literally the dad.
Yeah,
I think the
which is
message of this
not good
movie
to
is
know.
the message of this movie is alcohol causes autism.
Basically,
I
yeah.
think so.
So I guess now we got
Don't
that
drink
moves
and
into-
drive. That's the message from the Celsius
That
pod.
finally moves into the Oscars.
Because Unbreakable Boy
as
won
we
every
know-
award.
Unbreakable Boy sweeped, yeah.
Unbreakable.
Big sweep.
Okay, I think the best way to talk about the Oscars is to go by the categories and then other interesting moments of the night.
So as usual, we did the Oscar like where we all put in our votes on what we think is gonna win. And you three all had real guesses based off of seeing stuff or even watching the trailer. Most of the stuff I have seen nothing about it. Like I haven't even watched trailers. So 90% of my stuff were just guesses.
Yeah.
So let's go. Let's say each one who had like the most right predictions. I got 13.
Obviously, you got the
12.
most.
I got not
No, I
one,
think
two,
you got
three,
9.
four,
I got
five, six.
7.
I got 7.
I
Well,
got
I didn't count
1.
I didn't count
2.
documentary feature, documentary short film, and live action short film.
Me neither.
I did.
I still got 1, 2, 3.
Nicola, you got 7.
Well, anyway, let's go through like each of sort of the
4,
bigger awards so we can talk about our thought process
5,
and
6,
sort of the
7.
thing.
Yeah.
So before pre-context, before we get into the Oscars, so this has been one of the most controversial Oscar seasons of recent memory. It was all like we had so many controversies with Amelia Perez, AI brutalist, just AI use in general, and like how we should disclaim that in our movies. And then we had this sort of thing where when Anora came out, there were headlines that said because Anora won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and it was like how Sean Baker made a worthy Oscar contender. But then we lost that scene when Brutalist came out. Like Brutalist is going to win Best Pick, Best Direct, and so we got that sort of thing. But then because I don't know if it's because I don't know Honora picked up steam again for some reason, or because of the AI controversy for the Brutalist, Honora started winning like because after the Golden Globes, it started like winning at the PGA, the DGA, the Critics' Choice Awards, the SAG. It started winning, and so we got to some thing where Honora was heavily favored as sort of the champion for most awards, and essentially, Honora clean sweeped at this Oscar awards.
Honora only won
Yeah.
5 awards. What do you mean clean sweep?
That's
Okay.
pretty good.
The reason that I think I did bad on my Oscars predictions was because I doubted the Academy a lot. Like anything Amelia Perez was nominated for, I'm like, they're gonna fucking give it to Amelia Perez, and they didn't. And anytime it didn't win, I was so happy.
Yeah.
But
Even
you
though
have,
I already
you have to
lost.
look back at the trends of Honora winning all these other awards to sort of help.
Yeah.
I think you should have done my thing, and as somebody who's never watched anything, just guess randomly based off of vibes.
But essentially,
And Dune 2 for everything.
And do
Essentially-
2, just out of principle.
we got the sort of big. So let's go by. So let's start off with actor in the leading role. It was no surprise that Adrian Brody was going to win this.
Honestly, I don't think it's no surprise.
I also
Sebastian
don't
Stan
think it
did
was no
do
surprise.
Really good.
Sebastian
know.
Stan
There
did
were a
really
lot of
good,
good.
and the fact that they had to AI his acting, like that's what the AI was his voice.
I don't know because
So
you
it's
guys
like,
still haven't seen the Brutalist because Beck and me saw the Brutalist.
He's
And, like,
really good in the Brutalist.
He really destroys in the Brutalist, and like it's like a really good performance despite AI or whatnot. It's a
The
really
movie's actually called The Brutalist not because of the Brutalist architecture, but because the movie is 4 hours long.
yeah. But no,
I
it's
think
like
the host this year was good.
the host
Yeah.
Conan did do.
Conan
look
I think
pretty-
the show, other than the nominations this year, as in Amelia Perez, the show was really good.
Yeah.
The nominations kind of were ass because of Amelia Perez, but the show was by far so much better than the last
yeah,
couple of years.
Conan
Because
was always
it's
really
what happens when
solid.
you have an actual good host.
Like when Conan starts the show being like, yeah, the Amelia Perez was a terrible person. I'm like, I know this guy's gonna be a good host.
Mhm.
He gets us.
But no, I didn't see because Adrian Brody was winning all these previous awards like Golden Globes to SAG, and so actually
Didn't
I think
Sebastian Stan win that though?
no, he won because he won for comedy for Different Man.
Oh.
Right, because that was the whole thing.
And
like,
Timothy
for some
Chalamet
reason,
won
he
SAG
comedy
Best
for
Actor.
that.
So the mix-up was never going to be Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. It was going to be either Timothy Chalamet or Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody sweep. And guys, he had the longest speech in Oscar history.
I stopped watching after.
I know, bro genuinely tried to go on for as long as his movie was.
He was like, okay, I've been here before. Do not give me the music. I'm talking.
Yeah.
And so
Do you
but
think that if Timothy Charlemagne was voted for leading role in Dune 2 instead of in A Complete Unknown, he would have won?
no.
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 Yeah,
I don't know. Lisan Al Gaib was pretty good.
Yeah.
This
But
guy fucking just loves Dune 2.
I do love Dune too. It's in my top 5.
Obviously,
or top 10.
no surprise here because he was destroying at every single. Because like with even leading actor, you could have maybe said maybe Timothy Chalamet, but obviously destroying at every single award. Kieran Culkin, best supporting actor. He was winning
That one
every
was, there was
single.
no doubt.
No, yeah, it was so obvious. And what's interesting is he was against Jeremy Strong in who was his former Succession co-star. So it
Jeremy
was really
Strong
funny
did
that they were
that
both
one, yeah.
competing against each other for their
Yeah.
first Oscar noms. And
Honestly,
I know
mean,
Aiden
you're
put
telling
Jeremy
me that
Strong.
the Nora person wasn't gonna win. It's a Nora.
I know Aiden put Jeremy Strong, but I think not because of any like seeing the past trends, but you just prefer that performance. I'm assuming.
No, I think that Kieran Culkin's performance was just kind of fine. Like it's the most like regular guy you can be. Like Jim Strong had to
I
do
thi-
like he
Yeah.
like did shit for that.
But you can see that I would say it is true that Kieran Culkin kind of did play himself in A Real Pain, and that is fair. But I think it was a pretty good performance, at least for because it was something very interesting, at least I think. And so
Then
he
actress in the
won.
leading role.
So Jeremy Strong didn't win, but I think I do probably prefer Jeremy's performance over Kieran's. But just based on the trends, I had to pick Kieran just because
Based
he
on
was
the
winning.
trends, yeah.
Yeah,
Or just
I
had the
thought he had a
intent-
good
Or
speech.
just had them beforehand.
Yeah, about he wants to now he has to have sex with his wife to have 2 more children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great. I like how then who then after then said to his wife, "I'm not gonna have a baby with you because of the statue." I remember somebody said that
I don't
towards
know.
the end.
And then the biggest surprise for me of the night, I was predicting basically like there was something I just didn't get because like oh it's just kind of random. But the biggest upset of the night, not upset, but just like surprise of the night, I was not expecting at all. I was for sure assuming it was going to be Demi Moore. Mikey
I was
Madison.
so glad it was Mikey Madison.
Mikey
was
Madison, which is
so
crazy.
glad.
She's the second 90s baby to win an Oscar award. The other one is Jennifer Lawrence. And so this is her first nomination, and this
Notice
is
something
actually
similar about both of them.
what's
They're both bad as hell.
yeah. What I actually find this really inspiring that Mikey won after her first award nomination. You never see this.
Yeah, that's why I was so shocked. Like, I was like, I thought I had like it in the bag. It was like Demi Moore. She was like doing good. They wanted to give the Legacy Award, and then they just gave this gigantic curveball.
Yeah. And
because Honora was goated.
yeah, and I think
Clearly, as somebody who's never watched it before, even I know that.
I mean, I like Honora quite a bit, but I don't think it was like the best movie of this last year, but I liked it quite a bit. And honestly, I liked Maggie Madison's performance quite a bit. I don't think it was the best even female performance of the year, but I loved her performance. I thought it was good enough, and I think it merited an Oscar. I did like Demi Moore's performance too, and so, but I think I probably prefer Mikey's, but I just assumed it was going to be Demi. And I think kind of this thing where it's all like this kind of proves the substance correct because they picked the younger person. But I think that's stupid because then it just shows like now you're assuming Demi only has one chance to do this. Like, isn't that also kind of proving the point of substance? Like you're putting her in a box, or now you're only saying she has only one chance. Like she's never going to get an Oscar nomination again. So it's kind of also proving that point.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually really glad that a first time Oscar nom, she got the win, and so I'm really happy for her. I like Zoe Saldana, but not for this role. Like if it was
Amelia
another
Perez
role,
walking here with only 2, I was like,
She should not have.
I would
Amelia
have
Perez should have
personally
done nothing.
put Felicity Jones for The Brutalist.
yeah, a lot of
would-
people wanted Ariana to win.
I
said
said
Conclave.
Ariana Grande
I said Conclave.
because I thought it'd be really, 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 really funny.
I'm actually surprised
would.
none of us have watched Conclave. I gotta go around and watch that.
I really need to watch Conclave. The only 2 Best Picture nominees I didn't see were Conclave and Nickel Boys. But Nickel Boys didn't win anything, so.
No.
Yeah.
It was also only
Clearly not
nominated
looking
for
at
like one thing, which was like Best
Um,
Picture.
And so Zoe Saldana, I like Zoe Saldana. I think if it was another role, it would have been great. But I
If
don't.
it wasn't
Amelia Perez.
yeah.
Yeah.
She had a good speech though. If it wasn't an ass movie,
Animated feature film Flow. I didn't see it. I really wanted to. Beck, you saw it. Do you think it deserved it?
I do think it winning the award was really good because it was indie, foreign.
I mean, that's like a
not based
positive.
on.
I
That's
can't
yeah.
believe Conan had to pull out Estonia
Personally,
like that, though.
I wanted
after-
Inside Out
after
2 to
his
win,
upper
and I
season.
thought Wild Robot was going to win.
Inside
But I
Out
do
2
think
was
Flow
not the
deserved
one.
it.
I also
What about
thought the
Wallace and
Wild Robot
Gromit,
was
Beck?
more.
Huh? What
I
about
thought
Wallace and
Gromit
Gromit?
was good. but
Yeah.
not
So
the
what
one.
about Wallace and Gromit?
Have not seen it.
So why didn't it win though?
I can't
It's
believe
Wallace and
Latvia has
Gromit.
Because I
won
didn't see
It
it.
already won it in 2005.
There was a
Yeah, it
one
needs
vote
it again.
difference, and I was the tiebreaker, Aiden.
Okay.
I can't believe Latvia won an Oscar before Estonia did. It's so sad.
Obviously, we talked about the animated short film cinematography.
course,
I
it's
wanted it.
unexpected.
Personally, if I picked cinematography, it would have been Dune 2. But
Yeah, Dune 2 had really good
yeah, I
cinematography,
but the
thought-
but I
Brutalist
also
makes
was like-
sense. I like the
I was
Brutalist.
2 to win.
I said the Brutalist as well because I was like, I've seen the shots from the Brutalist. That's like the one thing I have seen from
I,
the Brutalist.
I said
and
Nose
yeah.
for Hawk 2.
And so, but let's talk about the four big for Sean Baker's 4-award big sweep. And guys, this is an amazing record. Like the last time a person won for 4 awards for the same movie was like Walt Disney or something. Like because he won 4 awards last night, and that's kind of crazy because he won for original screenplay, he won for editing, which is really interesting because directors usually
but
don't
kinda-
edit their movies,
Yeah.
and so
But
he
that was like
edits
the
his
whole
own
point.
movies.
Yeah, I was
And so
confused when he
that's
went
one
up, but him editing his
He
own
edits
is
his own
really cool.
movies.
Yeah.
He won for
You should
director
try that back
and
lines.
best picture. And by the time he won director, you almost kind of for sure knew it was going to be Honora in the
Yeah.
for best because when he wins director because he gave he gave some really good speeches because like the thing is
I like how every single time you had to shout out the sex worker community because I mean, of course,
I mean that's kind of
they're
booted though.
an integral part.
And what I really like because the thing is I don't even think you need to be a fan of Honora because I'm seeing people like really not like Honora now because like it has like bad messaging or something about like feminism or stuff like that because I don't think that's even necessarily true. I thought it was like a pretty solid film. I don't even think you need to like Honora that much, but I'm saying this win is amazing for the independent film community. Because like
Yeah.
the fact that an independent movie from fucking Neon Film Nation is coming out winning some of the biggest contenders, that's like really inspiring and positive that an independent film, a guy who had a vision and did what he did can win the big awards on Hollywood's biggest night. And so that's really inspiring, I think. Because like
Yeah,
I think it's a good message.
that
Yeah, wasn't one of the people
flow,
literally went-
just a lot of like indie
One
stuff
of the
winning felt
speakers
really
was
good.
literally saying like, "Oh, if you're an indie person, don't give up because you literally have a chance."
Yeah. What back?
So next one was the
Like that, and also
documentary
flow
one
being
for
like
this year.
the big indie wins happened this year.
Yeah. So
And-
we're skipping documentaries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing personally, I would have liked original screenplay to be a real pain to win. But it's fair that it was Honora. I don't think Honora had
So why are
the
we already
best
on
writing.
worst writing?
Yeah, wait, why did you just skip over everything else?
No, I
Beck?
just wanted to mention
Yeah.
original screenplay because it was Honora.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, well then, international feature film.
I'm
I'm
still
I was
here.
expecting this to be slow.
Fair. I liked
was-
I'm Still Here quite a bit, and I think it deserved it.
Yeah, I was worried Amelia Perez was gonna take it.
Which one is I'm Still Here?
It's about
It's the one about like the husband that gets disappeared.
in Brazil.
That does not ring any bells.
You didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Costume
Makeup and
design.
Someone who's
hairstyling.
never
I was
seen-
like, it's makeup and hairstyling. I thought it was gonna be either between Nosferatu with the Substance or
There was
I thought it was
no
gonna be
competition in my mind. The Substance was winning that.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be
but
wicked.
look at Nosferatu. Do you know how much like stuff went into making
So
Nosferatu?
I would have said The Substance, but I read the nominations too fast and didn't notice that The Substance was there until it was too late to change it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have voted for Substance if I had seen Substance on there, but I straight up just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original score
Was
went
the
to the
Brutalist?
Brutalist. I'm surprised they went to the
Honestly,
Brutalist. I
fair.
voted for
Brutalist
Wicked.
score is amazing.
Yeah, but what about Wicked? It's literally a musical.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
all
I
they're
was
not, it's
worried
not
they were gonna be like,
original, which is
Sound?
fucking annoying
that
as
goes
shit.
to the musical.
Wicked is not original. Score.
Yeah, music
went to the
original
fucking worst
songs.
song I've ever heard.
El
El
Mal.
Mal. Oh my god,
One
guys!
of the
They
worst
started
Amelia Perez.
singing on stage.
Oh, that
Holy
I
shit!
wanted.
I could tell by the songwriter singing on stage exactly the type of movie Amelia Perez is, and exactly how insufferable that woman was. Because oh my god, it was so annoying. And
No
even
one
the
wants
small
to hear you
snippet we
sing.
got of the song, it was so bad. I
I-
genuinely think the Academy are deaf.
Probably.
I literally didn't even know which Amelia Perez song it was because I forgot all of them the moment they left the screen.
Wow.
Based off even the small snippets we got, Like a Bird Sing,
By
so
far
much
the
better.
best.
I didn't, because I haven't heard any of them. I just voted for the Elton John one because Elton John usually cooks. He didn't cook that hard on this one.
I actually
Still good
managed
though.
to
Still better than
correctly.
El Mal.
I voted for El Mal because I just felt like that was gonna win.
Yeah.
Production design, that was
Wicked?
Wicked.
I
Yeah.
see why it goes to Wicked. I voted
No,
Nosferatu
that's
because I know the
Wicked.
miniatures
Like
and stuff,
they
but
did like
yeah.
a whole thing of like flowers and like they
Yeah.
planted all those.
I just thought a lot of that stuff was CGI, and that's why.
Yeah, that's the same with
No.
me where I thought it was CGI.
Best sound, that was Dune
Yeah.
Dune 2, of course.
Yeah.
Dune 2 has such good
and
sound.
VFX. That's both.
VFX, obviously.
Yeah.
Both of those make
I
sense.
said Alien just because I thought that one was pretty good.
I said Dune 2 for visual effects because it just like
I did Dune 2 for both of the sound.
they're
and
like it's
visual effects.
amazing. I would have maybe said Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but like Dune 2 is just on a whole another level.
Dune 2 should have won more. It should have been nominated for more at least.
Yeah, at least it should have
Yeah.
been director. At least nominated for best director.
After
Um,
watching the Oscars, it made me want to rewatch Dune 2.
Yeah, you should.
And then final one, adapted screenplay.
Adapted screenplay and original screenplay went to Conclave and Honora.
And I'm glad Conclave won something. I
I think-
really thought it was
yeah.
gonna be adapted.
And I think,
for Amelia Perez.
out of all the stuff in that category, I thought Conclave was going to win because I think that's just the best one for adapted screenplay.
Yeah, and apparently the book isn't very good, so they did a good job adapting it. I heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Best Picture went to Honora.
Yeah, and just like
Out of principle, I voted Dune Part 2, but I think if my real vote was going to be to The Brutalist.
yeah, I think it was definitely mixed between those two, but just like seeing the trends and like I think it's a very positive thing that Nora won, and I'm actually really glad that it did so well this year. You may not need to like it, but it's a great thing for independent film to continue living on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what he
did the calculations, and the only film that actually won an award that night that I hadn't seen was the one win Conclave got. Everything else I'd seen the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen Amelia Perez or Nickel Boys. I don't need to see Amelia Perez, but I'll see Nickel Boys or Conclave.
Hmm.
Conclave. We should do a Conclave watch party.
We
when we're
should
all
do a
done.
Conclave watch
And then we
party.
vote on who's going to be the Pope of the Celsius podcast.
It's me.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we already know.
It's me.
I think we already know.
It's me.
Well, I mean, I think I have to go for Uri.
Yeah. Because I know you're going to make the joke, but
Yeah.
I think it's not even the right.
I
religion,
don't want to
but-
make the joke because we've made it too many times, but you guys all know the joke.
Beck, are you anti Catholicism?
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm just not Catholic. I'm East Orthodox.
But that's the Oscars. I'm gonna say pretty like average Oscars. I think there were some cool moments like when they brought off the policemen and the people for like the LA fires, and that was cool. And they did
that
the
was
Joker
I
2
think
joke.
Good hope. Yeah.
What was
Oh my god, the
Joker 2 joke? I
Joker
think
2
I
joke.
missed that.
Everyone was cracking up at that.
I missed that. Which one was that?
It was like everyone lost their homes, but especially the Joker 2 producers.
Oh, that's what it was.
Just like it was pretty good. Conan did good job. I'm saying it's like pretty cool. Like I think the Oscars, like I know people are always sort of against the Oscars. Kind of like cool to say. I like the
That's
Oscars,
because
but I always
most of the time the Oscars don't end up that good because either the host is bad or the nominations are bad or
Yeah.
the awards are bad.
and it was kind of interesting seeing this post like sort of LA fires climate how they would do it. And I think they did pretty tastefully and like Conan made some pretty good jabs. Like again, like he said the Russian thing that was kind of cool. Like
He
I mean,
called Drake
what-
a pedophile on stage. That was good.
That was
He
pretty
did
good,
call
and he
Drake
said
a
he was worried
pedophile.
about-
Nicholas, that vape?
Is that Does this look like a fucking vape to you?
Yes.
It's a circular vape. Nicola looks like someone who would vape.
Yeah.
What's that stuff for, man?
Uri, don't you?
No.
No?
No, I use Zen.
Wow.
But that's the Oscars.
Wow.
Pretty good, guys. So we've covered 2 Oscars now.
That's true.
And it's gonna keep going year after year.
Maybe.
Until
Until we
we're
kill
in the
Nicola.
Oscars and I've won best.
Until Uri is on the in memoriam, we
Exactly.
Oh,
Until
yeah.
either one of us, no, even after we win the Oscars. Imagine the best podcast episode, our story of how we won the Oscar.
And how Nicola was kicked out for touching Ana de Armas.
again.
Again.
Guys, Nicola was
It's-
too drunk on the Oscar stage for his.
That's just Adam Sandler, though. That was literally just Adam Sandler.
Why was he there? Who invited him?
He's a
Why-
Hollywood
I mean,
person.
No, he was invited for the joke. 100%. It was like for the joke because he left right after the joke.
Yeah.
He probably went to change, honestly, if anything, because I think it is mandatory black tie, isn't it?
Adam Sandler would never wear a black tie.
Yeah, he didn't. That's the whole joke.
Yeah.
Is he was there in his usual outfit. So that's
Vanity
probably why he
guys,
left
we
early.
would destroy the Vanity Fair after Oscars party. You know,
Oh my
we'd make
god!
so much
yeah.
connections.
I would.
I think
With a, like,
Nicola
a-
would be passed out in the pool after like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll seduce Tom Cruise and like, I will join your religion. Just please.
If you just send me more of those cakes, man, please send me that coconut cake.
Let's talk about my favorite episode of Invincible so far. I think
Oh yeah. These next 3, I said it last week, but these 3 episodes are going to be the best of the season, of maybe even the show.
and so
I might have a hot take on this episode.
wow.
Wait, I fucking got it. If you don't like it, I'm gonna.
No, okay,
drive
so
to Boston.
after last week's sort of filler episode, we get not very sort of very.
I saw a joke about that, about how Invincible fans think it's a filler episode if people are just talking instead of if it's a slow episode and people are talking for 5 minutes instead of it being a fight, it's a filler episode.
Yeah. But it was kind of.
I mean, yeah, it definitely was a filler episode.
But
though.
no, but instead of like sort of doing like even this episode was not very plotty driven because like it doesn't overall to the overall plot it doesn't do anything. It's sort of like it's really
no, it's
powerful.
Powerflex.
Powerful one-off story. I think is really cool. That is probably going to come back later. But it's like a really powerful story about the idea of grief, and I love this episode because like, so we have Aaron Paul doing the only role he can do, which is like a broken guy.
His wife even looked the same as the girl in Jesse. I mean, in Jesse, the girl Jesse dated in Breaking Bad. who he
Jane, you
also
mean?
killed. Yeah.
But no, this was such a powerful episode. So Nicola, as a resident Invincible guy, explain this
Oh,
episode.
I'm the Invincible one. Well,
Okay, I'll wait.
let
I'll
me
wait
give-
until you finish the plot recap, and then
Yeah,
I'll do
well,
my
Nicola,
problems with it.
do like a 1 to 2 minute sort of plot breakdown.
oh, you're gonna have to give me a second to prepare my notes. All right. So, where do I begin?
We'll
I
go
love how
character by
preparing his
character.
notes is him just pulling up the episode on a second tab.
No, wrong. Incorrect. Give me a second. You can't.
It's
hear the
almost like we
music.
can hear the intro music.
No. Okay, so the episode begins with what the fuck?
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
but
a
the
flashback
Battle of
to-
Chicago.
No, it begins
It
in
starts
the
with the
Battle of
battle.
Chicago from season 1, episode 8, where we see that the Powerplex sister and the sister's daughter are in Chicago, and he sees them get basically crushed in rubble while Omni-Man and Invincible are fighting. Something I hear what's really interesting is that in that fight scene, while he's like picking through the rubble, you can hear like right when Omni-Man crashes into the ground, you can hear the train underground. You can hear the
Oh,
actual
that's
metro
cool.
noise.
And what
That
was
was cool.
really cool about this sort of sequence, it kind of felt like the beginning of Batman versus Superman, but like sort of in that sort of perspective, like seeing like a big major fight. Because the beginning of Batman versus Superman is seeing the Man of Steel fight from Bruce Wayne's perspective, and this was very similar and kind of dealt with the same
Yeah.
sort of consequences. Except I think this episode did much better.
Yeah.
And we see the final fight of season 1. through this perspective and how like the
Yeah.
people that Mark tried to save in the building, that was his sister and her daughter.
Yeah. And then after that, after that, I think it now goes to the present. We see that Powerplex is actually just like a working for the GDA, and he's helping them develop something. I forgot
Which,
what it's
aside from that, this is my only quick kind of gripe of the episode. Like a guy who lost his like siblings in like a big invincible Omni-Man fight with like superpower. You're letting him like work at your like your organization.
man. Cecil will hire anyone nowadays. You gotta just let it be. Cecil would see Galactus coming to eat Earth and get him on the payroll next Monday. Okay,
I mean,
but
he is considered a superpowered individual, so it's better that it, like.
Oh well, the first thing before we see that he's working, he actually goes to a prosecutor and he gives him, and he like has a petition saying that like you have to investigate Invincible, and the woman is like, superpowered individuals are just handled differently. They're basically above the law. We
And-
just can't do it.
And that's like a really, really powerful scene because it kind of shows that he did try to do the actual right steps of trying to get justice. And like,
Yeah.
he's trying to do these right steps, but essentially he's being forced to like, I think a lot of when superhero media is like, why did the superhero villain become villain? Well, now we see like legitimate reasons of why they are
Yeah.
becoming the way they are. But because obviously we know the prosecutor side because we get the context because we were with Mark in the fight. We got to see the context and we understand he's like just so desperate. And we understand the prosecutor. How the fuck do you prosecute a fucking Viltrumite? You can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also like he did nothing wrong in that. That entire fight was him just getting beat to death. What? How do you blame him for that?
But the thing is,
Well,
Beck,
nobody really saw that. That's
the thing
thing.
is, you can understand while you can see that because we side with Mark obviously, and the world
Yeah,
kind
and
of
also
overall.
we actually get to see that. You have to keep in mind, most normal people on Earth, especially he was in Chicago, all he saw was Mark and Omni-Man in Chicago, a bunch of people dying and then just disappearing, and hearing that Omni-Man is gone and that Invincible is in the hospital.
That's
and
like
nothing else
very
happening.
suspicious because
He doesn't know any of the context for why they're fighting. All he knows is that this also went all across the country and world, and a bunch of stuff happens. Like he hasn't seen anything
because
other than that. You have to think most people don't see anything. That's also why there's like people don't know what happened.
because back at some point they just become flashes in the sky, you know, and you don't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And but
This- yeah.
he's stealing some equipment from the GDA to sort of like now since he can't do it the legal right way, him and his wife they're going to try to take him down super powered style.
because he has a small superpower, which is like he has very basic power absorption, where like if he takes damage, he absorbs it as power instead.
Yeah.
And he can amplify with these like biometric discs. First, though, we see that Oliver is getting trained by Mark and Eve by beating up the elephant.
Yeah. And then they have
that
this
kind of-
really poignant conversation, which kind of leads to the overall themes of the episode of like sort of seeing people as bad and the actions they do as bad. Because like he's wondering about his father and like, but like it's like the idea of the further themes of the episode. Because like Oliver and Mark, they have the context of Omni-Man being this amazing person, you know, like of being a father, a great father.
Well, yeah, but Mark also has the memory of him getting his
Yeah,
ass beat by the
But
father.
so they both have these memories, like such a great thing. But then, because they have the context, but most people they don't have context of Omni-Man being a great person, a great father.
Yeah.
So it goes
And
off to
then
the
we get
overall
to
themes
see-
of the episode.
yeah. And then we get to see Powerplex again practicing with his wife his speech that will come back like 5 times this episode because he's really practiced this speech and he keeps saying it. He also gets the new discs attached and he now sees that he's more powerful. Debbie, Paul, Oliver, and Adam Eve, everyone, they're having dinner together. Paul made pasta and they're talking.
And
And Paul is being like, how can I live up to like your to expectations? And Paul and Debbie's just like, just be here. And then
And I want to quickly touch on that for a second, because I think that was really important, sort of like showing like because like while he does not do much like as a real estate person, because like in the grand scheme of things, what do you think about real estate? It doesn't really matter to like saving people, but by saving people's lives, you are kind of saving the livelihoods they do, you know? And so that's kind of
Yeah.
a cool theme. Like, because I'm actually kind of starting to like Paul now. I'm going to be honest. I think he's kind of a cool dude. I know he's going to betray eventually, but
he doesn't really betray. He just
it feels like he's going to betray.
Becomes too much for him.
Yeah, or maybe it just becomes too much because
here's another. That's kind of I'll talk about it later when we get to it. Actually, it's basically the next scene. So Powerplex does his first attack to try to get Invincible, and meantime, it's what's his name?
Shapesmith.
What's Mark's friend's?
Shapesmith.
No, what's Mark's friend?
What
is Mark's friend's
William.
name?
William.
William. It's William's birthday, so he's over doing bowling with William. We also get to see Mark basically see what's her name? Amber for the first time since like last season. Since they broke up, and we get to see Amber with her new boyfriend. Here's my question. In the comics, this is kind of a spoiler, Beck, if you care. In the comics, her boyfriend, that boyfriend beats her. Like he assaults her. But the thing is, her character in the comics is so much different compared to
I
in the show.
don't think they're gonna keep
she's
that.
so much more like dominant and like girl boss in the show than compared to the comics. So I don't think they're gonna keep that.
They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna
do it.
keep that storyline.
So I think they're scrapping that. Then we see Shapesmith goes and deals with Powerplex, except not really, because he gets his ass handed. But then he just flies away because Invincible never came. He's talking to his wife, and we find out he has a son. Then it turns out it's the anniversary of the Chicago incident. So Mark is going to pay his condolences. So they all fly off. We also see that Robot made the belt for Monster Girl so that she doesn't de-age anymore when that basically negates the curse.
Rex and Ray.
Rex and Ray basically break up because Ray has to it's just like, I don't want to be a superhero anymore, but Rex has nothing else but being a superhero. Then they go to they go offer the condolences, but then Powerplex shows up and he gives a speech, and then Eve goes and deals with him. And then he again gets locked up, but then he figures out that he can just beat himself up to gain power, and he breaks out. So then Mark is kind of listen to what Powerplex is saying. He's like, he kind of does have a point. A lot of these people, I never really thought that hard about every individual that died because of what Oliver did. So then Mark goes and talks to the Cecil's right hand man. What's his name? Donald. He talks to Donald. He gets some information, and he goes and confronts Powerplex. Finally.
Which means they do know about his powers. Like, they confirm that the GDA does know about.
Kind of a oversight on their part.
Yeah, but Powerplex fakes kidnapping his son and wife so that. And
you can already you already know what's gonna fucking happen. Yeah. You can just tell it. It feels like just an inevitable slow burn you're just watching, because you can already tell in your head what's gonna fucking happen.
Especially when Mark goes to save them and then she spits on him because, of course, she doesn't actually need to be saved because she's bait. And then Powerplex grabs him, but then in his anger, he killed him.
He burns.
No.
Burns.
Invincible killed his wife and child.
Yeah, of course. Wait, this isn't my fault. It's your fault. So then he finally gets locked up and he's in prison. But then we see that I think Mark is again being watched by the orb while he's talking to Eve. And then now we finally get the post-credit scene. We get to finally see Angstrom Levy, and we get to see all the new Mark variants.
And so that's leading up to the Invincible War next episode.
Season 2, the Invincible War that will take place over 10 episodes.
Right? No, Beck. One episode.
It's like short in the comics as well. It's not that long.
It'll be one episode.
It's gonna be one episode. I'm hoping it is a longer episode because we already do know that the last episode of the season is only 48 minutes long, which some people have said that's going to be too short for the fight. But you have to keep in mind, in the first season, the Omni-Man fight was also like 45 minutes.
Yeah, but let's not get into spoilers. I want to talk more. So, Beck, what is your hot take about the episode?
I don't
Stand
know.
ready for my.
It was mostly just you kind of touched on it a lot when I just felt like the motivations felt really weird. because I mean we knew Mark's side where it was just him getting his ass beat. It didn't make sense for the other guy to hate him for that. But I guess if he didn't know,
He
I mean,
didn't know.
yeah,
And so
just-
it kind of gives like this whole episode is the idea about context. And I watched a video about this, but essentially kind of like the idea of like, because like when he was fighting Shapesmith and then beated him up, he gives sort of the idea if he had enough wherewithal to realize that he did the same thing Mark did, like of course he said I was just defending myself against Shapesmith, but to other people he just looks like he's beating Shapesmith to the point of almost killing him. So if he realizes wherewithal that if he just stopped trying to get this sort of revenge, that even if he got revenge, it wouldn't help him at all, and just stayed back down, just lived a life with his wife and son, he would have like been happier just trying to heal from the pain. But he doesn't realize because he's so warped by revenge. And I think that's some of the strongest sort of storylines in fiction, where the idea of revenge is like everyone's obsessed with revenge, but like what does that do at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And Powerplex's character really sort of encapsulates that in trying to get revenge.
Really gonna love The Last of Us season 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, the cast was also revealed for next episode. So we got Omnivincible played by Stephen Yuen. We got Mustachable played by Stephen Yuen. We got
Kayla, you don't need to do this.
Viltrumateable. No, because I also want to rank which is the best Mark, which is of course.
We can do this
Viltrumite
next
Mark.
episode.
No.
Yeah, when we actually see them. Like,
We got Bulletproofable played by Stephen Yuen. We got Prison Invincible played by Stephen Yuen. We got Flax Invincible by Stephen Yuen. I would say my favorite is either like Viltrumite Mark or full Black Mask Invincible.
Yeah. But
Or Sinister.
like you
Sinister's more
understand sort of what I'm
complicated.
saying though, right? About sort of the idea
Yeah.
of revenge. Because I think it's like just the idea of like it's like it doesn't really help at the end of the day. Because like Powerplex, even if you like what kills Mark, it's not gonna help him.
yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah, he's still gonna. Now he didn't kill Mark, and he still lost everything, so he's just extra fun.
And so now you kind of get this thing which like, and now when Invincible tries to apologize at the end of the episode, it's like that doesn't matter to him because now all he has is probably trying to kill Mark, just like Angstrom Levy. And I think it was
Something
just
I
such
find interesting that they changed from the comics is in the comics, Mark makes a lot bigger of a scowl after Powerplex refuses to like understand his error. While in the show, he basically just frown. Like, let me pull up the panel. But like Mark like gets like doesn't say anything, but he like makes a really big scowl. Like you can tell he gets really pissed off by the fact that Powerplex is not willing to see that he's like not completely correct. While in the show, he barely makes a face. He just walks away.
Yeah. And I think that's so more of a subdued expression to sort of show that like Mark, you know, at the end of the day, there's nothing really Mark can do to change this guy's opinion.
Issue with that is that the big part of the comic is this is kind of now promoting Mark that like this is why he has to start killing, which is like because like he's gonna because I mean we see that constantly in the show he's kind of getting pushed towards that point, and this was like one of the big defining parts, and that's why I'm kind of confused why they changed it. It's also like why they kind of made Angstrom Levy look less hideous in the show, which I understand because it's easier to animate, but still.
Yeah, definitely. I saw like the example panels we were showing them. Like, you guys don't understand how animation works. You can't do that level of detail.
Yeah, at least in the time that we have.
Yeah, and especially in this style.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's because it comes out every year instead of like every 5 years. They don't have that much time. Especially, it's a small team of animators. It's only 200 people. And it's paid by Amazon. They're barely getting any money.
Yeah, Amazon.
No, I think it was just
for cash.
I think it was just sort of a really powerful episode in that regard. And I like the bigger themes it had, and like I think it was just a really sort of enjoyable ride because like what's something I think is cool about they did the A title card drops. It was showing how they were. I think that was cool because it shows how they're trying to like Mark. Powerplex feels actively censored by the world, and so whenever he does say Invincible, it just drops
think it's that deep, man.
I don't. That's a far reach.
No, I think
not that deep. It's really not that deep. It's just a funny moment. It's just a funny moment, man.
No, you're wrong.
Bro, they've just been doing the Invincible title drops funnier every time. It's not that deep, man.
He's just been in too much of that film student mindset, being like, everything must make sense.
I don't know.
Everything
Look
must
it
have
up.
a meaning. He's been watching Severance too often. Speaking of which,
Well, let's talk about Severance. One of the most insane episodes of the show so far. We got
Yeah.
so much lore, but you're still confused.
that's the point. That's Severance for you. That's
I mean,
Severance,
I
baby.
feel like I got a pretty good picture.
So explain this episode back.
Okay, so basically it's a Gemma backstory episode. So the only thing that we care, I'll just go in like chronological order because that'll be easier. We get when Gemma and Mark first met and they fall in love, and then they're like, we should try having a child. And they try having a child, but it fails, and it's so sad. And they fight for a bit over that because they're both sad about it. And then Mark is kind of distant, and Gemma leaves. But turns out Gemma dies in the car accident, and the cops show
It's
up,
not a-
and he's
I
sad.
saw a couple of people saying that like Gemma faked her death. I don't think she knew she was gonna die.
She definitely
was
did
gonna get
not.
She
Okay,
definitely
but
did not.
then
And she definitely left with the premise that she was gonna be coming back.
so then we cut to where she is now, which is like the underground
Which is
below
the
Severance
floor.
floor.
the testing
Yeah.
floor.
And in that one, we see that she is entering all
And
these
this is
different
basically
rooms.
where we kind of see what Lumen is actually doing. And we see they're basically trying to they're testing out like marketable, like market places for the severed chip. So they're saying like, oh, we can test out if using the severed chip just to get people to like any
Or
time
the
to go to the dentist,
dentist.
you skip the dentist.
Write thank you cards.
Writing thank you cards. And actually we learn early in the episode that Gemma hates writing thank you cards in real life. So by basically they're forcing her like her innie to do it. And we feel like we have a different innie for each room, basically.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
a different ending.
separated Severance. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, and
But I
and
also
then it
felt like
leads-
they must have
Yeah.
had like specific connections to her. Cause like it felt like that Christmas scene, because we also see another Christmas scene with Mark. So I feel like there has to be like some connection where it's like Mark is like somehow
And that's-
helping her
I
code.
feel like what's happening, it kind of is because I feel like because they're a couple, they have compatibility, they can understand each other's souls and their tempers. Because
Yeah.
they're still sorting the tempers in macro data refinement. What I think right now is what's happening is that in the testing floor, they have Gemma testing each of these floors, and they have each of her innies doing that. Then after testing for that floor, they send the data up to Mark, basically, and Mark sorts the tempers to try to like balance out the chip and make it function better.
Okay, but then that wouldn't explain why Cold Harbor isn't done yet, because
Because I just don't
currently
think
working on Cold Harbor.
because I think we just didn't see Gemma go into Cold Harbor today, but she's gone
Yeah.
into it before.
No. She said there's the room that I've never been in with Cold Harbor.
Yeah, but she didn't say that was Cold Harbor.
No, she literally said that was Cold Harbor.
It never says that there isn't that in the book of Genesis, does it?
The book of why are you listening to the book of Genesis?
Bro doesn't know the quote. Bro does not know the
it
quote.
relates to
Okay.
Shikai Bardo. And
Anyway,
I
that
am
clearly
not
is
in
not-
like the deep online
That clearly just
research
isn't good enough.
of Severance.
Becca's
but-
just not a good enough watcher, but clearly.
Literally.
I also like how the experiment floor is like more sterilized and like confusing than the normal severed floor, because you can see there's more panels in the walls. There's like the lights are like there's more stronger lights in the ceiling. It's like more intense than the severed floor.
And what's really
It's-
cool about this
Still
episode,
somehow
so
like darker.
yeah, what's really cool about this episode is that when we see scenes of like Gemma and Mark meeting for the first time, it almost feels like a different show. Like it's shot on like film, like has this filmic grain.
Yeah,
and it looks
I
so
noticed the
cool.
grain. I was like, is my phone just low quality or is like this film?
And this
grain?
episode has some of the best like transitions.
And what's really cool is that the director, this was her directorial debut.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
her. This is the first episode this is the first episode she edited. But she's worked as she's the camera director for like most of the show, or like the cinematographer for most of the show. This is the first episode she's also directed.
And it was just a fantastic episode, like because there were so many amazing shots in this episode. Like there's a scene where it goes over the day to night, just in focusing on Emma's like
Yeah.
Oh,
Fix-
And
yeah,
then
but,
there's
that
a
one.
to the future.
but
There's also
Beck,
the shock
continue.
where he
So
like
essentially,
travels down to the
So
wires and
essentially,
goes
like
down to the
she's
floor.
going in all these rooms, testing these different things, and there's randomly this dentist guy, and he plays roles in all of these different ones. And
Even the person is like, "Yo, why are you wearing a sweater?"
it was
yeah,
really
and
cool. The guy who plays the dentist voiced Beast in Beauty and the Beast, and
wow.
all the other like in Kingdom Hearts as well and stuff.
yeah, but I don't know. It felt like very creepy, like he was falling in love with her, and that
He basically literally said that. Did he not? He said that I love her and she loves me too. And then the person's like, "Didn't she try to break your fingers?" And then
yeah.
there's literally the shot of how Gemma tried. There's this part where Gemma tries to escape.
And so then we get we sort of see a thing where we have regular Gemma, but then we also have the multiple innies of Gemma, and so we're thinking, why is Gemma here? Why did she so was she killed and they remade her or something, or
I think they just faked her death and trapped her
so
here
she
so that they could,
chose
because
to leave
it's so
Mark?
clearly not ethical. Like everything they're doing down there is not ethical. I feel like if anything, that's like kind of like the only way they can really get Lumen shut down is if they like reveal that floor.
Yeah.
I don't like. I don't know. Do we specifically know what she was a professor of at that?
She was a professor of Russian literature.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
she's.
I thought it was
You know
like
what's so funny is that the first thing she walks in and she says, "Oh, I'm reading a book about
The death of
the death of Ivan Ilyich." We're also reading it in class right now. It's so funny.
so that's why Nicola can talk about the deeper themes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
'Cause I
no,
read the book.
So, guys, now
and
I have to read a random
You have to
Russian
read the death of Ivan
rela-
Ilyich.
Yeah, this is why I can't watch Severance with you guys, because you guys
well,
like.
Beck, you're also kind of a dumbass.
Or what about All Quiet on the Western Front?
Oh, okay, I can read that.
But no,
I know
essentially it continues.
Uri's already read that, you know.
Yeah, but no, it's a really cool episode because like it shows like now she is trying, like we still don't know what happens with the car crash or why she decides to work with Lumen, because we got this thing where it's like Lumen seems to be controlling everywhere because the dentist was at the fertility clinic. So
Yeah, they met at the blood drawing place, which was run by that had Lumen machines. They then went to the fertility clinic that had the doctor there, and we saw on the paper that it was also run by Lumen. You can see that Lumen's kind of been in their lives the entire time. It's even like how they met. It's how every step of the way had Lumen there. It's almost like Lumen maybe even brought them together for a purpose.
and because like they have
So-
such a, but I want to think that they did find each other naturally without.
No, I don't think that that Lumen literally brought them together. I
'Cause
think,
I
and
think
that's more
what
just to
made
show that
their-
Lumen has been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's always been a part of
And
life.
so what I think is cool is like I think it's something about their connection and their love is what's important to the Cold Harbor. And ultimately Cold Harbor could be a thing where it's all like it's the secret to immortality maybe, and severed any something like that.
It's the
Maybe
it's the secret to total mind control.
they're trying to bring back Kier Egan, maybe perhaps like the original
The
one.
original. Loki, I feel like if the original Egan showed up all of a sudden, he'd be like, "Y'all have lost the plot so much. I just wanted you guys to drink your raw eggs for breakfast. Why are you making innies and outies?"
But,
So basically, it ends with Gemma trying to escape, and then she goes up, and then we realize, oh shit, she can't actually leave, because then when she goes up the elevator, she turns into Miss Casey, and then she just walks right back in the elevator. And we're just like, okay,
No,
so
she
she just
doesn't
like,
walk right back. She tries to leave, and then Mr. Milkshake shows up and tells him to turn around. So then she goes back down.
yeah. But it basically is
so,
like
yeah.
she like literally can't escape, even if she makes it out of the floor. Like they're just gonna like swap her again and have her walk back, you know?
Yeah, she would have to get out and then get out from that floor as well.
Yeah, but
And
then,
who knows,
then
even-
couldn't they
even
also
if
just
she
do an
gets out of that
overtime
floor, there's even-
contingency?
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
even if
then-
she gets out of that floor, there's no saying if she goes to the upper floor again, does she even go?
And
What
but-
happens? What happens when they introduce the severed squared floor, which is even below the experiment floor, and it's where you're severed. It's where your innie has an innie. So you have your innie, and it's like your innie consented to have an innie, but now the innie wants out, and it's the entire show becomes squared. You know?
sounds confusing. And then we have another confusing thing where it's like there's a room where they watch the MDR people and they kind of look like them and wear sort of
Yeah.
like wigs to sort of monitor each one, which is sort of the reason for that flash of a Gemma in the end of the first episode. And so it's seeing how like sort of like Mark's coding and all these people's coding, they're important for these different rooms to test out these things. Because we got a plane room where it's all like severing people for different things. So it's like and because we also have the idea from last season, someone severed to give birth to someone.
Yeah.
And so we're getting all these sort of different sort of concepts. And so this show is really elevating because like it pushing it so forward, but you still don't know what's fully going on. And that's what's so amazing about the show. It's able to bring characters because I think all the like the Gemma past stuff, that's actually just Mark.
Yeah.
Because here's the Mark plot of the episode. He's like out of it.
Yeah, he's just passed out on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, he wakes up at the end, does he not? That's like basically the ending of the episode.
Yeah.
Is him finally waking up.
And so I think all those memories of like the past, that's him remembering.
No,
And,
I
like-
mean that's pretty clear because remember we begin with the blood donation scene, and then we cut to Gemma getting her blood drawn, and the doctor asks her where did you go? I think it's pretty clear to say that she was thinking about how she met Mark,
Yeah. And
and then that's probably the same. And we see the same thing that Mark was thinking about all their entire experiences while he was out.
And so we get a thing where his sister is taking care of him the whole episode, and she wants to call Cobell, and so we finally may see Cobell next episode.
Yeah,
But
we also forgot how hell the existence of these innies are, like especially Gemma's innies, like the one where like her only experience is the dentist. She just wakes up, goes to the dentist, and then again she just turns around and goes to the dentist constantly. She does nothing but dentist. Her entire existence is a dentist.
Yeah.
and like the thank you card one, like she's saying it's always Christmas, and that's kind of interesting because they
Yeah.
juxtapose that where when they meet it's springtime and like things are growing, but throughout the entire show it's always winter and snowing.
Yeah.
And so it's showing how like their connection, they blossomed in spring, but now it's all like this really like it's always like this sort of sad, depressive place in the world of the innies and Severance. And so we also get the concept of Mark and I think it's a stupid theory, but I'm just going to introduce it so we can have it known on the record. They really want a child, and like we see a Mark that has not been present before, like Mark that wanted like was hopeful and like wanted
I
a
was
child. Like
happy.
he says,
He
Yeah.
also seemed
that
a lot
child-
meaner. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, maybe it's just because he wasn't depressed and that made him seem mean. But yeah, he seemed like a bit meaner in the flashbacks to me.
I
no,
think he
seemed
just seemed like more normal.
human.
I feel like all the times he was actually being like mean was like he was joking around, or he was being
Yeah.
human, normal.
Because he also did this thing where he forgot to say "I love you" too. You know, when she says "I love you."
No,
And
there's
so
a
it kind
big,
of-
there was a part, but then that's mirrored by the end when she finally was leaving. He remembered to say "I love you" too.
Yeah, and it's because we see like a more fuller Mark in this episode and sort of the past, and I do think by the end of this episode he is fully reintegrated. I think,
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
the big
it'll
thing.
be cool to see that next week.
and so we get that, and so like we're seeing how like I do think I don't think she left him on purpose. I think it was something
Oh,
coerced
I have
by
no
Lumen.
idea. Because she
No,
wants to get
100%.
back and they won't let her.
I think it was like maybe even a thing where it's like they just needed more money, and that's why she took the job at Lumen, and then she ended up getting disappeared by Lumen.
Yeah, and she might have just been like kidnapped and forced into this.
No, because I definitely think she just didn't know she wasn't going to come back from that night.
Because we see how like the doctor, the dentist guy, he lies to her and says like, Mark has a wife and a daughter now, but she just does not believe it.
Yeah.
And like almost this episode is almost kind of impossible to describe sort of linearly because there's so many different like timelines converging in
Yeah.
this one
and like
episode.
different like
Yeah.
people, different severed people, innies,
And
outies.
it's the first time where we actually see Gemma as like a real person instead of just like a concept, or
Yeah.
as Miss Casey.
And so then we catch up to presumably the most current timeline with Gemma, like where we are from episode 6. And like because Milchick just came back from like he was wearing the same outfit as when we last saw Milchick in episode 6. And so we're seeing how it might line up to the same timeline, and so I think things are really ramping up in these last 3 episodes.
Yeah, how many
'Cause
episodes
we
are
got
there this season?
you know what? We have, like, 10, I
There's
think.
10 or is it 9? Because last season had 9.
I think it's 10.
Okay.
And so that's really, really exciting, and, yeah, no, it was just an amazing episode. Just, it, because Severance is never gonna be a show that's gonna, like, tell you everything organically in a regular way. It's gonna keep you guessing,
I feel
and
like even the full ending of the show, like the show finale, is gonna be like leaving so many questions that we have to figure out for ourselves.
yeah. But I feel like it's gonna do that in a good way.
Yeah. Well, obviously, yeah.
Let's talk about sort of the last
White Lotus.
White Lotus. So White
And
Lotus,
then
it's
me
doing
and
the
Ian
White
have
Lotus.
lose.
Yeah.
Okay. So White Lotus, I'm gonna be honest, this season is still pretty slow. It's still
Yeah.
ramping up sort of the bigger storylines. But I think for this episode, I'm just gonna talk a few theories with Nicola.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. Shoot
So
away.
we talked about like episode 2 and 3, and so let's go by character group by character group.
Yeah.
So we got the rat lifts. Things are like for the dad, things are ramping up.
Yeah. The dad is like, holy shit, I'm gonna go to jail for tax fraud.
yeah, he's like things are going bad for him. He's calling the guy who he did the tax fraud with. He's like, get a lawyer.
And the guy, I like that the guy. What's the name of that actor?
KQ Kwan.
Yeah, Keku Kyon voices the guy, and he's
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
and he says, the FBI are raiding me. We're fucked. You're completely implicated. Lawyer up yesterday, and then it's like, I even got this burner just so I could talk to you, but you should get a lawyer yesterday.
And after last episode, I really assumed that because there was this thing where it's like he should have just if he gave his phone right away, he probably wouldn't have been implicated. Because the thing is because the fact that I think he continued to be on his phone implicated him so much more. And so the idea that he created his own problems by continuing to call and talk.
Yeah,
But I think that's gonna be
why he put all his stuff away.
Yeah, and so next episode in the third episode, he puts his phone away because his lawyers are
In
like,
fact,
just
it's
stop
not even
talking.
just that. It's also because, yeah, he was told, just do not talk to anybody until I call. But then because the son also works, the older son works with him at the same company, he basically got all of that son's technology so that he wouldn't be able to talk to anybody at the work either. Because he's basically hiding that he's committing tax fraud from his entire family. So he
And
takes all that stuff and he takes all the technology in the house and he puts it in the White Lotus person.
And in the beginning of the episode, the mom, played by Parker Posey, she has a dream of her being in a tsunami, and then she's seeing the youngest son with 2 workers from the White Lotus, and she's seeing a tsunami come. And that's kind of indicative of she realizes the tsunami that's about to break in their lives, like the thing that's going to come crashing down with the father. She's realizing it's going to come.
Yeah.
And so it's like this big thing that's in the horizon and it's just coming. And then when they wake up, she says it's because the son, the youngest son, he was showing her videos of tsunami and how a guy saw a tsunami coming and he just accepted it because he knew he was going to die no matter what. There's no outrunning. And the father is really looking very really deeply at the thing because he's realizing that a tsunami of bad luck is gonna just come rushing
Not bad
to
luck,
him.
A tsunami of FBI raiding
Of
him for
FBI
laundering
consequences.
money and tax and fraud.
Consequences are about to rain down on this family, and there's nothing they can do. And so it's kind of getting a theory that the dad, because the dad said he doesn't take drugs, but he finally, because he needed to sleep, because he much prefers kind of the sleeping world to his reality, he takes the mom's drugs, and the mom,
Yeah.
so out of this entire season, she's she needs her drugs, and so I'm gonna
He's like, I'm not
assume,
addicted. I only take it when I need to,
yeah,
which is all the time.
and so I'm assuming they're gonna do a thing where she's gonna lose her drugs and she's gonna go fucking crazy or something.
Probably.
And so, but he's
Or maybe even the dad gets addicted and he takes all the drugs for himself.
and he overdoses and dies. That's the potential.
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen.
But I think they're gonna play around with the potential of him trying to commit suicide, but I don't think they're gonna go through with it.
Yeah, definitely not.
Saxon is we see because what I think while this season has been kind of slow in a way, what I love about the White Lotus is that they're putting us in the middle of these characters' lives when they meet at the White Lotus. So there's so much we don't know about these characters because the regular show we would know so much more. But we are only supposed to. There's no flashbacks in this show either, so we're only supposed to
Yeah.
infer what we get from like dialogue and what they say. And so we're getting sort of like a pass where like the brother definitely feels Saxon, the older brother, feels resentful of Piper for like in their past, like he feels like she always gets what she wants. And so like we're seeing how that sort of comes out, and like he's trying to help the dad, trying to help him because the family's saying like there's some pressure coming to the dad, but he's not saying what it is. And so he lied to his son, I think you're doing a great job, because it's obvious. It's obvious the father doesn't think well of his children at all.
Yeah, because I mean, I said that earlier when we talked about the first episode. The dad's whole thing is that he is a winner. He like was able to build himself up to this high position, and now none of his kids can ever live up to his expectations.
Back
Which
very
kinda
much a
ties
sort of
into
Logan
how-
Roy's type of thing.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into how in this episode, to get his son to give up his phone, he says, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. I know you're going to do great things." And you can kind of tell that he doesn't really mean it. He's just saying it so that he could get the son to give up his phone and give up.
Saxon starts definitely he starts a fling with Greg's girlfriend. Like this is gonna be expanded upon later, I assume. Piper, seemingly she's not here to, I think, interview the person. I think she wants to join this religion and like be a part of this community.
Yeah.
That's even something they're going to
He even said
really.
that they go, "Oh, I'm going to graduate from college. I can be here like next summer."
Yeah. And now I remember the guy, the younger brother's name, Lachlan. Now he is one of the more like he's a plain character, but that's kind of the point. Like there's so much like about him that I think hear me out on this, Nicola. That I don't think they're going to go full with this, but it's definitely something. Either like I think he's like he's either like he's hiding. He's either transgender or gay.
No, I think he's closeted. I think he's gay.
But I saw a pretty good theory for why he might be
went to the
trans.
posture correction, and the person is like, "You're trying to defend yourself from something. You're sitting with your feminine side. You're crossing your leg on your feminine side. You're defending yourself again." Stuff like that. Like I'm pretty sure.
And so they're definitely doing something where he's definitely
that's definitely the
hiding
vibes I've been
something.
getting from him.
Yeah, but he mentioned ladyboys last episode as kind of he pointed that out, and so that's why I was thinking something like that, like I don't know. I think like, and him being in the mom's dream, I think she realizes that maybe she knows something about him as well. Because also the thing is, in the first episode, he was more comfortable with being in his sister's room than his brother's room, but he's also longingly looking at his brother, and so we're going to see definitely a conflict of how, because his brother wants him to get like laid and like have sex, but we're seeing how he's not very comfortable with that. We also got this sort of thing where I think it's more common like Thai tradition, like have a masculine side and a feminine side, but he's just more with like his sort of feminine side, Lachlan.
Yeah, he's a little twink boy.
And so we're seeing how, but I think even though they're definitely trying to allude to that, I think at the end of the day, they're not even going to go as far as doing sort of a trans thing or a gay thing. I think it's the idea of going against his family. Like his family wants him to go like Duke or North Carolina, but I think it's just pushing it back against his family. And that might be the biggest sort of like he's different than his family because he's all like there's a lot of big personalities in my family. And so maybe even like it's not even it could allude to something gay, but it could be like just moving away from his family. That could even be it.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that. And so they're building seeds here of something very interesting. Seeing how that dynamic plays out. Rick and Chelsea. So Rick
is fucking tweaking this episode. He says I need to get some fucking weed. So he goes out of the white campus. He goes to Bangkok. He gets some fucking weed. That shit's laced. He says, "I'm fucking tweaking." He goes to a snake show. He lets out all the snakes. The girlfriend gets bitten by the poisonous viper. She gets taken to the hospital. He goes back and then he's like, "Oh, that shit was laced."
And he's because he sees himself in the snakes.
He sees the snakes. He sees himself as misunderstood. And he's like, snakes are misunderstood creatures, and he feels like he's never been misunderstood in his life.
Because we get sort of like a lore kind of drop that his
That's his
father
whole thing.
died. His father was murdered. And we're seeing how that really affected him. And like I think definitely his father being murdered kind of stunted his growth. And so we're seeing this thing where like and then he wants to get because he says he's a movie producer, but he's obviously not.
I think
so
he's
he-
a hitman. Honestly, that's my theory right now. I think he's a hitman, and he was hired to kill
Carlotta's
um,
husband.
the person's husband because
Yeah.
he's talking about how like, oh, I've done really bad things before, like in my life before, and we know stuff, and we know that like he's very secretive and stuff, and like how he was talking to Greg, like, oh, I do this and that and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, everybody here does this and that. So my theory is that he's a hitman, and
That's a pretty good
was
theory.
hired to murder the person's husband.
And I think because he's such a fascinating character, Rick. Because like we see like there's so many elements to him. He's definitely a guy who's so much in pain, and he's like such an emotional guy. But the world has not allowed him to be emotional. And for some reason, Chelsea is sticking by him like through thick and thin. And he's not treating her well.
I
And
saw
so-
this the post episode like interview of the characters. Chelsea's actor basically said that like her character is like almost on a higher plane, and like she's waiting for him to catch up to her.
Yeah, but she's like very loyal to him, and we're seeing how another storyline. Greg now is going by Gary, so he's trying to hide sort of his thing. But then Belinda's recognizing him as like recognizes him from somewhere because she recognized him from season 1. And so we're definitely going to see, I think, where Belinda's going to realize who he is. I think
was he in season 1? I thought he was in season 2.
he was in season 1 and season 2.
He was in both.
And so they're definitely building up that storyline. Belinda's got the fucking hots for porn shy, and they're gonna fuck.
Yeah, we find out that the three girls all kind of just hate each other.
And this was one of the they didn't have a lot to do this episode, but I loved this scene because Beck. So we got this group, this 3 white women.
Yeah,
all
I've
bonding.
seen part of the first episode, so I know.
And
I
so
know
And so we get this thing where they all kind of like it's like kind of the kindness of female friendships, and like the idea like they're all talking about each other behind each other's backs. And the thing is, we get a grouping where each 2 of them have talked badly about the other one at least once every episode. So we got every type of pairing so far.
So far, every single one of them has been talked about behind their back by the other 2.
And so we're saying how this might explode over this.
That's definitely their whole thing, is that by the end of the season, they're either gonna somehow make up, or they're gonna be completely split apart.
Yeah, because we get this really sort of powerful thing, and because I see people saying, "Oh, why did the show become political?" But the White Lotus is fucking political always.
Yeah,
and so they get this thing where like it's such like
the whole thing, because they were at the dinner table and they're like, "Oh, I vote independent." "Oh, don't tell me you voted for Trump." And then like this thing kind of cuts, and then they're talking on their own. They said like, "Wow, I mean, but Trump in this year and age."
Yeah, and like it's such a it feels like such a real conversation you could see between these type of women, and like it feels like so like makes sense because they're like, but you're from Texas, right? And well, my husband's a Republican, but I'm a independent. And so we're seeing how they really sort of like get this thing, but like the thing
voters rise up.
The thing is, these women are not so much better. They're like sort of the elite liberal and as well the other 2 women. And so we're seeing how like sort of this thing is like there's a dichotomy where like neither one really sort of cares about politics. It's more about what it represents, like the idea of like, oh, you would do that, and like kind of like splitting apart in politics,
Yeah.
And like they're like, she's like, I'm an independent, and she definitely voted for Trump though. And so we see how they kind of like talk about her behind her back, and it's like such a powerful scene because like this friend group is going to totally implode by the end of the season because like it just they've grown apart.
I said it already, but I think they're either gonna have it implode, or I think the White Lotus likes to subvert expectations a lot. So I feel like it might even do the opposite and come out stronger than before, because that's kind of what they did in season 2 with the couple, with like the Audrey Plaza storyline, where they ended up cheating on each other, and that made all the relationships stronger.
Yeah. Guy talk is still like, he feels kind of like a failure for like kind of letting the burglary
burglary happen.
Happen in last episode, and like he's seeing how like some of the other bodyguards are treating him like, bro, you can't even do your one job. I think those two bodyguards were the robbers.
They had the same build and everything. I think it was. I think that's going to be the reveal.
And so we're gonna see how this thing he feels kind of lesser with Mook, and so he's gonna try. I think he's gonna try to do something manly, but like gonna fail.
Yeah.
And so,
But in the end, I think because we know this is going to be a shootout because of the beginning of the season, I feel like he's going to be like he's going to save somebody in the ending and prove himself.
So we're seeing how that sort of play. We're gonna see how that plays out. But I'm gonna say I think people are overhating. I think the White Lotus has always been pretty slow show, but I think it always ramps up every episode. And this season has a bit more leniency to be slow since it is a longer season.
How many episodes is it going to be?
It's 8.
8 episodes. Okay.
The other one was 7. The first one was 6. So
it's going. By the time we get to season 30, we're going to have like 60 episodes.
Yeah, but no, I'm quite enjoying it, and it's like I love its satire and the idea of social dynamics. Cause like it feels so real, like you can see that in real life. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Last thing, win or lose, Aiden.
That's it.
Aiden,
Lock the fuck in.
You're muted, bitch.
You're mudded. Am I mudded?
You're
still muted.
Still can't hear.
I am? Okay.
Oh, no, we hear you now.
That was a prank. I knew I unmuted. I've been planning this the whole time, is that I was going to say that I was going to pretend like I was muted even though I wasn't.
Am I
but none
mudded?
of you found it funny.
Yeah, because it wasn't funny.
Win or lose.
Right,
okay.
Aiden, what were you doing the whole time?
Watching a video. What did you want me to do?
Fuck.
I
don't
wish
think you
that
could do that
too.
live.
I can't do that live, but I wish I could do it in general.
Okay, so Aiden, do you want to talk about the daughter or the mom?
I'll talk about. I'll talk about the mom. How about you can talk about the
So
Rochelle.
I'll get into the daughter. So the daughter on the team.
You're gonna what did you say?
I'm gonna talk about the daughter.
That's not what you said. You said you're gonna get into the daughter.
I said I'm gonna talk about
some of these fucking allegations, guys.
How old is the daughter?
Okay, so the daughter is like, she gets to the field early, and
her name is Rochelle.
Rochelle, okay. Rochelle shows up, she works at snack stand because she's trying to get $1,000 because that's what it takes to be on the team next year. Because that's like the dues they have to pay for like travel and stuff. So she goes, she plays in the game, and the coach goes up to all the parents. It's like, Rochelle, is your mom gonna join us? And the mom's just like on her phone in the background. She's like, I'll just go instead. So she goes, and the coach is like, you will need to add another $600 to the fee to pay. But then he also says, come talk to me if that's a problem. And then she just does not talk to him. Because I swear to God, this coach would just be like, yeah, I'll cover it if she just fucking told him what's going on.
So, Mac, you don't understand that her character thing is that she's trying to be independent and that she...
I know, yeah, but she should...
So,
I think that's how it's going to end in the final episode, where she's going to like tell the coach and the coach is going to help her out.
Maybe. Or she talks to her mom.
Yeah. So she has to be this whole independent, and she's like, I need to find a way to make $600. So, and then one of her friends is like, hey, if you help me with my homework, I'll give you $20. So she's like, all right, let's do this. So she goes and she starts helping people, and she makes it to like $1,400, but she needs like another $200. And what the kid approaches her was like, I will give you $200 if you help me cheat live on this test. And we saw in the previous episode the teacher in this class catching her cheating. So now we're going to see her perspective on why she was cheating. And then,
but we also didn't know she was cheating, right? Like, yeah, she was just like, I'm passing a note, not. But now we see her perspective of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she gets caught. She feels bad, and then now she's like, okay, the money's due tomorrow. I need to do something. And earlier in the episode, her mom gave her like this new pair of shoes because her cleats were worn out and it was like a nice gift. But then she decides I have to sell these to actually make it to be able to play the game. So she goes to try and sell them, and then she gets jumped by a bunch of high schoolers who want to rob her of her keys and rob the snack shack. But then she runs away and gets stranded in like a gas station right as the game's starting, and then she cries at a payphone trying to call her mom. And then we have the next episode, which is
What
Her
the fuck?
mom. The next episode is about her mom, which is
Okay.
very smart.
we have a lot of times in this episode where like the mom fucking sucks. She's just not paying
The
attention.
mom
to
is
her
just like
child.
the worst person. She's neglectful. She quits her job even though they're tight on cash. She's kind of irresponsible and immature. So like before that, we've seen the mom in a, so we know that she's like a mom, right? We know kind of what her deal is, but we see more Rochelle's perspective of her trying to be the adult in the house. But then we see the mom's perspective. And the mom's perspective is just kind of sad. Like she's just having like the hardest time. Like at the beginning of the episode, she gets fired from her job instead of her quitting. So she's trying to let her daughter down more gently, I guess, later as well, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Or
And then
she
we
like
see that
didn't want her like pride to like get hurt by saying she got fired.
Yeah. So then the mom goes to the game, and in Rochelle's point of view, when she makes the game-winning catch, her mom is turned away, and she assumes attention. But from the mom's point of view, we see that she's actually fighting someone on Rochelle's behalf because they're like making fun of her. So she's protecting Rochelle. So that's cool. And then she's what happens next?
The
She has to
influencer
she has to pick up she has to start doing Uber to get money. And that's why in Rochelle's, we're gonna make a lot of references back to Rochelle's episode because they're very
That's
tied
why
together.
I'm really glad they
put
this
them back to
show,
back.
I really want to. I feel like the show should have just been released all at once, because then you could like see the connection so much more clear.
I will rewatch the show after everything is out, and I also
what I
hope
was
somebody like edits the entire thing to put everything in chronological order.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, but we see in Rochelle's point of view, the mom is just leaving at. We see she's actually Ubering around at night, which is very important for her to be doing. We also see, yeah, from the mom's perspective during when Rochelle had to stand in for her mom for like the funds for the baseball game for like continuing to play. We see that like just the mom was like that was when she was being fired from her job over the. So like the mom isn't just looking her. So we see her trying to get a job for the episode. Rochelle, and then she gets the call from the teacher. She's like, "Hey, Rochelle cheated." And this is, I think, my favorite part of the show so far is we see both Rochelle's point of view and her mom's point of view from this exact same conversation. Usually we've been doing like they've been pretty separate, but we see the same conversation from both point of views. The lighting and the music is different, and it's like these the way that the lines are delivered aren't different, but just how everything is framed, you get such a different feel depending on who you're following. Like Rochelle's is super depressive and defensive. The mom's is way more open and more just like, hey, you can talk to me. And I think that's just like a really cool scene.
Yeah,
So
I think you haven't mentioned it yet, but I do think I usually don't like influencer like social media plot lines. But I think the ones they did in this episode are really good because it's like leaning on
it's
the
more
whole,
her. Yeah, because
like,
she's
the
mostly
support.
she's alone, but having the support from other people is interesting.
Which is like it's still very unhealthy because like it's a bunch of random people.
And that's all that's keeping her moving.
Yeah. So it's sad, but I think that was actually a really good way to do it.
Yeah. But then we have some stuff with the PTA. They're like, "Oh, you're such a bad mom." Ooh. Actually, I'm a good mom. So then she She gets in her car and she realizes that Rochelle actually was cheating because she believed her daughter that she wasn't
The
cheating.
way they revealed it was, I thought that was really cool.
Where they compare? Where do they compare? They compare
They compared the
her
ones,
handwriting.
yeah, the handwriting.
Yeah. So now her mom is pissed at her because she's like clearly cheating. Clearly cheating. Something's going on, and she steals her phone. Um, which is important because in Rochelle's episode she loses her phone. That's why she has her mom from the payphone. And we think that she just leaves it at home, but in the mom's episode we find out the mom took it. And the mom finds out that she's been like doing this whole cheating thing. She meets up with this kid that she's been cheating with. She's like, my daughter's cheating. Oh, and he's like, actually, yeah, your daughter does a lot of things that you don't know about. And now she's like, oh, my daughter is like a whore now. I can't believe it. Like if they could say it, they would say that, I think.
Yeah, they say twerking in this episode.
They do. So the mom is like, you know what? I gotta stop my daughter. I gotta freaking slap her. So she goes to the party that she sells the shoe, or she's trying to sell the shoes at, but she's not there, and she starts momming it up at the party. Helps this girl with lactose intolerance like throw up or whatever. And then she gets pissed and she's like, hey, everyone, where is my daughter? And they're like, oh, old hag, we're going to take your phone. But at the same time that she gets a phone call probably from the payphone, we assume. So now she's trying to get her phone.
They meet up after and it's confirmed.
Yeah.
The payphone.
Yeah. So it is the payphone. And when they meet up, we have, so the mom kind of doesn't have like in the past episodes, the first episode, the main character had the sludge kind of stress, like amalgamation thing to represent the stress. The blue guy had the armor defensiveness, and Rochelle has like the world is crumbling around her and is falling apart,
turning into the adult.
And turning into the adult. And so when we come to see Rochelle meeting back with her mom, we see Rochelle's perspective still. The world is completely like torn apart, floating around her. And then once she reunites with her mom, it all comes back to normal.
The visuals
and I thought that
were insane. I loved it.
It was very good. I thought that was a really good use of how they're representing these characters and their problems. And then the episode ends with them in an embrace, which is good. But we know that because we've seen the big game from in the first episode's perspective, and we know that Rochelle hasn't made it to the game. Like as far as we've seen in the timeline, Rochelle still hasn't made it, which is pretty cool. I really like how the show is.
Yeah, I think it's like is it 9 episodes total? Because I think it's 8 different perspectives and then the final game.
I think so. I have to
it's
assume
probably gonna
so.
be this week, next week, and then the week after that's like the final game. So like
unless they release 3 episodes on the last week.
I don't know if they do that. I want them to just drop them all as soon as possible.
Yeah. I think what is really interesting in this one is how we see more. Like we haven't really seen the other characters.
And you're cutting out.
Okay. We don't really see more of the characters we know we're going to follow later. But we do know about like the chicken. We see a lot of the chicken in these 2 episodes for some reason, which we haven't really been introduced to yet. He's like the mascot character. So it's cool to see that. Also, I'm totally wrong. We do see Rochelle actually show, but she has a scraped knee because we know she scrapes her knee earlier, and when she's being chased by the party people. So we do know she makes it to the game. I was wrong because I misremembered because that was 2 weeks ago. Sorry, but Win or Lose is going well. Or I would recommend you watch.
Well, it sounds interesting, like a good Pixar original animated
Not
show. It seems like
Just,
really
just
elevating sort of some sort.
just the premise of how it works is really unique.
Yeah, and the animation is really good.
It's I mean it's Pixar level.
Is that not good anymore?
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
well,
getting
I
that
think-
level of animation in a TV show, there's like 3 shows I can think of that like put that amount of budget into a TV animation.
Yeah.
What are they?
Arcane, this. What's another like insanely expensive animated show?
Ruby.
They did that.
I
Group is
feel
made on a
Rip-Ass.
shoestring ass budget.
Invincible.
Look up the budget for Volume 9, Beck.
Family Guy.
Family Guy is so much money.
$7 million?
Well, we won't prolong this for too long, audience. Sorry for this long, but watch Win or Lose. Sounds pretty interesting. Anyone has a rec they want to give?
Yeah, I'm really glad we're doing. I have a lot of good week by weeks because I got Win or Lose, Invincible, Severance, just a ton of cool stuff.
Watch. Wreck-It Ralph.
Parasite. Okay, remember to always use Celsius.
Or not. Guys, also the temperature, by the way.
Oh shit, yeah.
As if
You know,
we
I-
haven't forgotten it before. It's 50.
I was doing peer review for one of my classes,
27.
and my friend had the temperature in Celsius. I'm like, you gotta change it to Fahrenheit, bro.
Yeah.
We're
For
in
the
America.
Celsius podcast.
Yeah.
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 Well, always use Celsius.
It
Nicola will kill
is
you.
21 degrees.
Cool.
Remember, if you're at an Oscar party and Nicola is about to approach you, run. Goodbye.
Or
Get
punch
the
him really
alcohol
hard.
away from him. It can't happen again.